They finally let me on. These fools.
We did. Welcome, everyone, back to the Worship Workshop. I'm really excited about this episode. We got a great group today.
Heck yeah.
Doing another testimony episode. But I think before we do that, I think we should all go around and introduce ourselves. Okay. I'll start. It's been, this is episode 11, which is insane to think about. Yeah. Technically, there's 10 up. There's a whole story behind it. But 11th episode, so some of the people who are new here, welcome. My name's Lucas. I'm the host of this podcast. I'm here way too much, but
we're gonna have an episode with just you not in it. Just gonna be random people.
Dude, I would love that.
It's kind of crazy.
I've thought about that because I'm like, do I want to do one that's like more like have an all women cast for like
your takeover podcast,
biblical masculinity,
Girls Gone Bible feature?
Yeah, like a girl just girls, and then I'll just run the production side.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
I might do that at some point. But anyway,
sitting in a corner quietly.
Sitting in a corner. No, doing what I do best. Sitting in the back corner, just hiding and acting like I'm not there while I run production. Yes. But so yeah, I'm a mechanical engineering student at KSU. Go KSU. Hoodie who.
Yeah.
And then I also do production and lighting at Passion City Church. So that's kind of my main thing that I do. But then I do the podcast on the side.
Yeah.
Mason?
He spoiled it. I'm Mason Walter. I am an outreach leader in Crew, and I am a public relations major currently. And I do student ministry over at First Baptist Church Woodstock. Represent. Heck yeah.
I'm Kenny. You guys seen me a lot.
Number four. He's practically my co-host.
But I am computer science major, switching to information systems. This is my room. Welcome to it. And I may not be as involved as these guys, but I lead a small group, which is pretty cool. And I'm definitely going to get more involved in all my ministries. So, yeah.
Leading a small group as a freshman is actually kind of crazy.
It is crazy. The fact that we have at least three of us, because it's me, Kenny, and Peter.
Yeah.
All lead.
Yeah. And y'all are Marietta, so it's born of a necessity, right?
Yeah.
And it's just so cool.
Well, it was cool because we had so many guys in Cooper and Jacobs that they're like, we have to split. Mm-hmm. And so Jacob was like, Lucas, do you want to lead with me? And I was like, sure. And then Cooper, of course, grabbed his two disciples. But
nice, yeah.
Speaking of Crew, let's talk a little bit about what we just got back from.
Yes.
Because as you can tell, one of us, not going to name, is very sunburnt.
You can peep the line, peek it. It's so bad.
It's so bad, bro.
Oh.
But it's okay. What did we just get back from, guys?
Frive. That's Frive. Frive.
Yep.
Friday at 5.
Was this the first one this semester?
Yes. So every year we have a couple at the first semester. And then it dies off because it gets cold. And then once it gets warm again, we beg and we beg and we beg and we beg and we beg. And they eventually throw us one or two. Yeah. They throw a bone,
Yeah.
Because it's really hard for the events team to pull off. So shout out Crew events team.
Yeah, they killed it today. It was great.
Adeline and Bobby,
Yeah, we love them.
Like you guys.
But it was just such a fun time. Mm-hmm. I enjoyed it. It's been weird because I felt like last semester I really didn't do stuff with Crew. And then this semester I've been more getting into it.
Yeah.
But it's like, I have to go and push myself because I'm not the person who will naturally just go to a park with a bunch of friends for a few hours and play sports.
Really? Okay.
I'm just not that person. I'm very much just I'll do my thing that I'm normally doing.
Okay.
Comfortable with, but been pushing myself and it was so much fun.
Out of the comfort zone.
Yeah, get out of the comfort zone. Go. I'm in college. I need to be hanging out with people instead of chilling in my dorm.
And I mean, it's better than going out to parties that you shouldn't be at, and that kind of thing.
True that.
I'd much rather be playing spike ball in 9 Square than be at a block party where police show up,
And I'd feel a lot better doing spike ball and that on the green than getting drunk. And
Yeah.
But so that was fun. What about some other stuff with Crew? Because I feel like I haven't mentioned Crew too much.
Really?
But if I'm gonna mention Crew, two guys that are very into Crew. So what's some of your guys' favorite things about Crew?
Oh geez. Well, first off, the community. I think so. For context, Crew is a non-denom campus ministry, and what that looks like is all are welcome.
And it's any campus near you.
Yeah, 100%. It's
Yeah.
everywhere. You can Google it. It's there. Just trust. It may range from like 10 to 15 people all the way up to KSU where it's like 200 on a weekly basis. It's crazy. But there's always a crew there. And so it's a guaranteed campus ministry. And some of the history behind it is that it started off as Campus Crusade for Christ.
You want to know something crazy?
Yeah.
One of like my mentors, who's a friend of my parents,
Yeah.
she led a small group and was part of Campus Crusaders back 20 years ago when she was in college.
That is crazy.
And then
wow.
my English professor this week, I was wearing a crew shirt, and he goes, "Oh, I used to do stuff with them when I was at Harvard."
That's
and
crazy.
he's been out of college for like 20 years.
Jeez, man, what a story. So yeah, it was Campus Crusade for Christ, and it's a global. So it's at pretty much every university, I'd say, globally. There's obviously some spots where it's really hard to because of like national laws, but in America, it's shortened to Crew because we're really sensitive about the term crusade for no reason. We weren't even involved in that. Whatever.
We had nothing to do, but it's America.
Yeah, but it's
so.
America. We have to have an opinion about it. But yeah, Crew's just so cool. I think community-wise, it's awesome because we have the freedom to talk about all these different things. You know, the outline of it where it's like discipleship is key and small groups and ministry teams. It's just so well developed to the point where it's like a great way for just in 4 years to grow so quickly. Mm-hmm. How about you, Kenny? What do you think?
Not even in just 4 years. In this 1 year that I haven't even completed at here, I've grown so much in my faith through Crew. And I'd say that, honestly, like the development aspect, because like you were saying, discipleship, small groups, all of those just grow our faiths in a way, which I guess is community. I'm stealing your answer a little bit. But I don't know. I see everybody in Crew that stays at least for more than a couple weeks. They come out changed, and it's just amazing to see that. So, yeah.
And that all comes from like a willing heart too. Like oftentimes as Christians, we come into college like either with the thought process or it's in the back of the mind about like, I need to find a community, right? And then God answers, right? And that could be in the form of any campus ministry, RUF, TLR for Kennesaw, and like all these different ones.
Red,
Wave, Wesley. They just keep going. I can list off a ton of them, but
and it's always fun when we get to work with them.
yes.
Speaking of which,
Yes, there it is.
Wait, when is it?
April 4th at 7 p.m. at the Gazebo.
Frick, this
They're
is
gonna
gonna release after it.
Is it really?
It is.
No, it's okay.
We can recap
Yeah, it's
it
gonna release a
on
Sunday
this episode.
after.
Darn. Okay.
But
Well,
explain what's happening, and I'll post the clip of it on my story.
okay, so April 4th at 7 p.m. at the Gazebo at Kennesaw State University, we are getting all the Christian campus ministries together. That's right. The Lutherans, the Catholics, Crew, RUF, Wave, Wesley, FPCW, The Well. They just keep going. Bread, TLR, keep them going. I'm losing count.
And you want to know
Did you say
the
BYX?
thing? BYX is
BYX,
It's a
FCA.
and not PCCYA.
You can make that. You can
I'm
make it
working on it.
happen.
You gotta make that. If I
I'll
can make
text-
my college ministry do it,
I'll
you can
text
too.
K. I'll text K.
Okay, good.
Sadly, our church has a kickball event on the same day, so we probably
City View,
will
yeah.
try to be there. But yeah,
So Crew's actually having some debates. They wanted to have a pickleball tournament that day, but they're like, we may actually have to put that down because a lot of Crew people are like, I want to go to United. Why not?
Yeah.
Because we've all been talking about it.
Were you at the first worship night this year with Passion City? The one I spoke at?
No, I have not gone to a single one actually.
So they had one? Dude, we had like 50-something people there.
Wow.
It was great. And I can't imagine what it's going to be like with all of these people because
Yeah.
it felt like a lot of people when we had just like 30 to 50. Like, I can't imagine when all of the ministries are getting together. We're going to have like 200
We are gonna
plus.
pack out
It's
that
going to be
venue.
crazy.
Yeah, so Crew is the biggest on-campus one. The living room is the biggest off-campus one.
Shout out to the living room.
Yes.
Shout out Ashton.
Yes. A shout out Roman McIntyre and Ben Blakesley. Roman is, to put in perspective, there is a group me with pretty much one representative from each one. And they
That's so
decided,
cool.
Mason, you're the Crew guy. There's like several people in front of me that should have gotten that, but it's me, I guess.
it's like the council of
Come on,
campus
let's be
ministries.
honest. If we had to vote for one representative to go and talk with the other ones, I would vote for Mason.
Why did you not go for president? I thought you were
Hey,
gonna go.
hey.
No, it's
Hey.
a
Give him some time. He's just building up to that moment.
No, it's the president thing is based off of what's it called? Election, right? And so people have to DM one of our head leaders and be like, this is who I want. And so if I'm not the first person that comes to mind, that's fine. Jonathan Melton, shout out.
He will do.
Oh, he's gonna be great.
He's going to be the best president ever. Shout out Caitlin Pitts too. That's a joke. They're both really good.
They're both gonna be great.
There are, what's it called?
One is great. One's gonna be great.
Yes. What is it? RSO? Is that the technical term?
Registered Student Organization?
No, that's what we are. RSO officer. That's what it is. That's technically what they are, because as a registered student organization, we need to have one, and they're super cool. But I mean, I'll take it as the food guy. I'll take the mantle.
The food guy.
The food guy,
The
not
food
a
guy.
food guy. The food guy. Explain what that is for people who don't know Crew.
Okay, so every week at Crew Live, it's called Crew Live, every Monday at 8 p.m. downstairs in the student center, the university rooms, shout out. We meet at 8 and we have our worship and message, and then we leave, right? Well, one day I was like, I want to hang out with all my friends still, and so
Because they kick us out of the room.
they pretty quickly. That's yeah. And so I was like, well, I want to go get food with all my friends because I'm hungry, and lo and behold, everyone felt the exact same way. And so now I'm just like the guy that decides where we go eat. And it's gone from something so small to like 60 people will show up at a Taco Bell.
You want to know the saddest part about that is?
What?
All of our group is at Chili's right now.
Yeah.
And
That's so sad.
I was talking with somebody I was talking with Sam, and he was like, or they were talking about, is there a movie? Some of the
Batman.
Some people are watching a movie after this, and he was like, yeah, we're gonna have to keep it at 9 because Mason can't be there until then, or 9:30, and he was like, Mason can't be there, and I'm like, sorry guys, and everyone was like, no, it's okay, like it's a good cause for why you're keeping him, and I was like, oh, thanks guys.
I think
But
that's really sweet. That's the one reason is me. I feel like that's so crazy.
That's how much we love you. We also all followed you to Taco Bell. We had the 60 people
That's
that show
true.
up.
Yeah.
We're like, oh yeah, Mason's gonna be there. We gotta go.
True that.
It's so fun. What I hate though is that they've learned, the local fast food has learned that Monday night at like around 9:30 run.
Are they?
Yes. Cookout is
Oh,
scared of
because
us.
they keep closing, right?
Taco Bell decided that they were going to close their indoor 2 weeks ago early because of us, in which I will probably be drafting a very nice email.
Ooh.
That's fun.
Yeah.
I kind of want to talk about Crew Lives for a second.
Yeah.
I was talking with Jacob Barron. He disciples me, but
He was on the
shout
first
out.
episode,
He was on the
right?
first episode. Go watch that one.
Love
Banger
testimony.
episode. But I was talking with him, and dude, we are slamming. Like there's so much people in the room, like Crew Lives, compared to from what he told me, it's like usually it drops off at some point, and then it kind of stays at like 100 people, and we're running out of chairs every single week.
Yeah, no, it's there's a debate each week about like, because we have 18 tables, and it's like, all right, each week are we going to hit 17 or 18? Usually it's a conversation of 15 or 16, because we don't want to put too much out there and then seem empty. It's kind of like a ministry no-no, right?
Yeah.
And we've actually, like, I'm not in these conversations, but there have been whispers of like the idea of us moving into a bigger space on campus because of, one, getting kicked out so early, and two, because the buildings don't close till like 11, and then two, like we're just filling it, and we honestly want a bigger space to roam and do things, right? It's so cool to see because Jacob's 100% right. We'll have, it's really funny. It's like our Easter and Christmas goers, but it's the first day of each semester actually. They'll be like, yeah, I'll check it out. And they'll be like, oh, these Christians. And then it'll drop off to about 100, and a good day will be 150. For whatever reason this year, it was like 250, and then it went down to only 200. And it was like, we've been just hitting that every single week.
Freshman class, we made a
Let's
difference.
go, freshman.
Yeah.
And then you have like, it's just from what I've been hearing, it's been cool to watch because like, I mean, I feel super connected. Like he was also talking about like there used to be cliques, and I feel like the freshmen and and you said that like last year's freshmen and this year's freshmen too. We don't feel cliquey. I mean, of course, you have your friends that you're super close with.
You're gonna have small groups, therefore clicks. Right?
Yeah, but it's like it's not super cliquey. Like I'll go
not.
and talk with anyone, and people will come up to me. Dude, it's just been such a great group to be around, and it's just so exciting to watch.
There is a few, I would say, like key friend groups that are the click destroyers, right? Because they're just so outgoing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna shout out Ethan.
Yes.
yeah.
Ethan is a
Wow.
click destroyer. Bro
Yeah.
will walk up to literally anybody and talk to them.
I want to
Christian
shout
or not,
out.
by the way. He will just walk up to random people
why doesn't he show up to the outreach meetings?
I don't know. Well, we'll have an intervention.
Yeah, intervention. A
He
come
could
to
be our
outreach
Mariana
intervention.
leader after Noah leaves, but that's a different conversation.
Ooh, anyway,
Ooh, we'll talk with him.
yeah.
Do you guys have any other like final thoughts about Crew and just things you want people to know? Because I mean, we have people ranging here from a lot of people who are in college, a handful that are at Georgia Southern or some other schools, and then we have people who are like younger, like looking towards college and high school currently. So, what would you say to people who aren't a part of Crew or aren't part of a campus ministry? What would you guys say to those people?
Crew is always an option. It is your, I'm going to say this as a compliment. It is not a backslap to Crew. It is your vanilla campus ministry. It's going to be consistent pretty much across the board because sola scriptura, right? They preach what the Bible says, right? Super simple, as every campus ministry should. But go to whatever God calls you to. I mean, the BCM over at UGA is much bigger than its Crew. So if you want a bigger
same
community.
Georgia Southern has 2 campuses, kind of like KSU.
Yeah.
Their Savannah campus only has BCM. So I have friends who go to that campus but are still in BCM, which is a great option for them, and they love it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
If you're not Baptist and you never want to be, like RUF is another great one. It really is just, there is a campus ministry for you, right? Because God has, worked, right? And there is so much to explore. So I also want to encourage the fact that what's going on with United, right? It's the idea that we have all the same convictions and we all have the same God that sent his only son and died and was resurrected and died for our sins, right? And don't make your campus ministry a clique either. That is some of the folly of ours and what we're trying to fix, right?
Yeah, I can see that. Like, you're talking like Crew people in general can form a clique towards outside.
Yes,
of Crew.
it's across the board, Bold campus ministry, though they're not actually a campus ministry. I got the opportunity to speak to some of them the other day, and they were like, yeah, Crew hates us. And I'm like, the fact that I can't tell you that you're wrong really hurts, right? It's like, that shouldn't be true. While they have their own issues that we won't get into, it is definitely not something we should feel. We should feel the love of Christ towards everyone.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Anything, Kenny? Or did that sum it up for you?
I don't know. When I go to Crew Lives, there's this thing that Aiden Philippar, shout out, said to me once. This quote, it's probably a common quote, but make heaven crowded as much as possible. And when I first heard that quote, like, Crew was just what came to mind. Like, how we literally pack out that building and we have people standing just to be there, even if they don't can't get a seat. Like, we're just making that quote so true and come to life. And I love that part.
Yeah, I mean, it's I love the campus ministry, and it's such a great thing. I think it's more than just your like, oh, I have to go to another service every week and I have to go to a small group. Dude, there's nothing better than the feeling of walking into the dining hall and seeing a bunch of your guys from your Christian ministry you're part of. It's like,
Yeah.
and it's made me like realize that they're everywhere, bro. Like
100%.
Like, you would be shocked the amount of like people who take their faith seriously and know Christ on this campus and on any college campus.
And part of that is the product that we're in the Bible Belt, right? You go to Harvard or any northern school, you're not going to see that as closely. But it is such a cool gift, right? Like, this opportunity. And that's why I'm not going to say like, how do I say this? The campus ministry should never replace the church. Most campus ministries will actually promote that. They're like, we're not a church, right? They should be a lighthouse to get you to a church. BCM at KSU does a really good job of promoting that, right? They literally call themselves a lighthouse. And so when you look for a campus ministry, look at all of them, right? Connect to communities, have as many friends as possible that are like strong believers. That way your college years are just surrounded by faithful people. But yeah.
Yeah. I think it's just such an important thing, and I think that it's underrated. I think people who go to college and they're like, well, there's just like, I went into college with the idea of like, I was praying because I was like, God, please just give me a community, because I was raised with the idea of there's just people get rid of their faith. People leave their faith in college. And
that's not untrue.
And there's a lot of statistics behind that.
Yeah.
And I think it's shifting. I think it's shifting back towards people keeping their faith. But I think also there will be community if you intentionally look. I was praying about that. I was walking into convocation my first like days like -1 of class, right?
Yeah.
And it is literally the day before my first day of college, and I'm walking into convocation, and I get a little like handout flyer for crew, and I
That
literally
infamous green paper.
Yep,
Yeah.
the green. I had a green piece of paper, and I did not listen to a. Don't tell anybody at KSU, but I did not listen to a single thing at convocation because I was sitting
Wow.
there filling out the information for crew, and then Aaron reached out to me. That was the person who like texted
That
me.
is so cool.
And then
Hashtag
now-
staff. Yeah.
I didn't like notice anything. Like I didn't think about it, and then like like maybe October, like I met Aaron, and I was like, wait a sec.
Yeah.
That guy.
Yeah.
You're that Aaron.
Yeah.
But
Fun fact: we had 2 teams that day. We had one right in front of the Commons and one right in front of the Rec Center.
I was by the rec center.
Yeah. Because all the Marietta were getting off the bus. Joseph, my boy Jorp. Shout
Love
out.
Jorp.
Jorp. My son. He.
Okay. We need to clarify this because people are gonna be very confused when you say my son.
So crew is D1 at discipleship. That's like our big thing.
Yeah.
What I want you to look for in a campus ministry is small groups, not a church, discipleship, and whatever that looks like. If they're promoting those 3 things, you're pretty solid. Yeah, you found a good one. But anyway, wow,
We call each other sons and fathers.
Yes,
Yes.
yeah. That's it's like a fraternity. So fraternities have bigs and littles, and that's actually a direct correlation because most frats and sororities were Christian at one point, but bigs and littles is actually just discipleship. So he's my little, if you want to put it that way, and so I call him my son.
Dude, it's sweeping because you started with that,
Yeah.
and then Jacob's calling me his son now, and like it's getting weird because like now Mel is calling Joy her daughter and all this
Yeah.
stuff, and then now it's getting weird because like, well, because if that's the case, because Jacob and Cooper are discipled by the same people, that makes Kenny my cousin.
Yeah.
Hi, cousin.
And then there's a whole
Just keeps going.
It just
Everybody
keeps
is
going,
related
bro.
now.
Yeah,
and
it's-
everyone is related.
Well, spiritually, we already are related.
We are,
so it just
yeah.
makes sense, you know.
But it's such a funny thing because you just slightly said my son, and I'm like, people are gonna be very confused who
Yes.
don't know crew.
So Joseph is my son. He's just my disciple. He's a year younger than me, right?
Mm.
But at the day of convocation, right? Goodness, he gets there's a 1 in 5 chance that I gave him that paper. It's kind of crazy.
No way.
Yeah, because
That's
there was actually only 4. It's a 1 in 4 chance that I gave him that because
You were outside what?
the bus stop at the rec center.
So there's a 1 in 4 chance you gave me the piece of paper as well.
That's crazy. That's just crazy. What a
Look where
weird
we are.
perspective, you know?
I can't wait to be in heaven one day, and just be like, was Mason the one?
Yeah.
Was Mason the one?
We gave out 10,000 papers that day.
Oh my goodness.
And that's
a
only a
lot.
fifth of the campus, right? We're targeting it towards freshmen because it's convocation, but it's like that's crazy. We run out every year, and what's funny is that I got in the crew because of that paper too.
Wow.
Yeah, it's wild.
What about you, Kenny? Did you get into crew because of the paper or the chalk?
Okay.
Which one?
Yeah,
Guys
which one?
said-
It's only 2.
It was low key both because I saw the chalk and our symbol is like this cross with these lines.
The 4
and
lines,
me and
yeah.
Peter, because me and Peter came from high school. We were both looking at it. We're like, is that a cross? Can you tell? I can't tell. So we were trying to figure it out.
That's
and then
so
when we
funny.
saw you guys handing out these green papers, we're like, hey, what are y'all about? And then we found out it's
We
a
were
Christian
crew. We met at
ministry.
8 p.m. in the
Oh,
the
no
spiel.
way.
Yeah.
And honestly, like how you were saying that, like Christians are really everywhere. Like so many people that we met at convocation before crew or anything like that, we have seen them come to Christ. Not really come to Christ ourselves, but they're on all these Christ-centered organizations. Like there was this one guy I met at Silent Disco. He's now in BYX and he got baptized like 3 weeks ago. Joseph. I've known him before, but I had no idea he was a Christian. And
Jorp.
then he got baptized last week. Woo! So it's just so amazing to see that everywhere. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I agree. Funny story. So I played esports in high school.
Which
Make
one?
fun of me all you want, people who
Super
listen
Smash
to this. Rocket League.
Ah, okay.
I'm champ 3 in Rocket League.
Dang.
Yeah,
okay.
I played quite a bit, but I was a junior, and I met this senior, and we're playing, and I'm just like, oh, this guy's great. What's his name? Austin. So I met him. He was great. He left for college. Turns out he went to KSU. I knew that, but I was like, oh, cool, you went to KSU.
Yeah.
He's on the Marietta campus. I see him all the time. But I then am going and I'm looking at Jeb's story.
Jeb, yeah.
And sorry, I was looking at his story because I followed him on Instagram.
Yeah.
I look at his story and there's Jeb in his story. He goes to Bread.
Oh, it goes to
So
Bread.
Austin's in
Oh,
Bread.
okay,
And
yeah,
so
yeah.
and I went up to Jeb. I'm like, "Do you know Austin?" And he goes, "Yes." And I'm like, "Dude, I played Rocket League with that guy in high school in Savannah, Georgia. I'm not even from this area." The fact that both of us ended up at the same college, on the same
crazy.
campus, both in campus ministries, and know each other, like, it's just so cool.
Mm-hmm. The power of a campus ministry. It's crazy.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about what we're here for.
Oh yes.
Testimonies. Who wants to go first?
I would love to. Since you guys have some similarities and you guys are gonna bond over that, I'm gonna take the reign and go with mine first.
Okay.
Let's go.
So it all started on a dark and stormy morning. Actually, that's a lie. I was born on a Sunday morning, which is pretty great. And then it was very early in the morning.
Wait, okay. Do you know what day you were born on?
No. I could go back and find out.
Dude, I was Friday the 14th of October.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Saved by the bell there. Goodness.
I know, right?
You were almost
Anyway,
unlucky.
Friday the 14th.
Yeah.
Almost terrifying, but anyway.
This story is important, my birth. Not really, but I just think it's funny. Because, I was born on a Sunday morning, and my grandma had time to go see me get born and then also make it back to church to tell everybody that I was born like I was Jesus or something,
Oh
which
my.
I think is hilarious. But I was actually the fourth of my 3 older siblings, so wasn't that big of a deal that I was being born. But yeah, that's pretty funny. And that church that I mentioned would be the only church that I really went to until maybe I was 16, 17.
Wow.
Literally it was a small Baptist church. And it's all I really knew. So yeah, that happened. I was born. And because my parents have been in the faith, I'm not a first generation. It's been going back and forth. I was very early introduced to Christ, and I received him pretty young. I was baptized very young, maybe third grade, fourth grade. And I pretty much knew the story of Jesus, knew the gospel. But, I was so young, and I was so surrounded by Christians because I was from this little high school, little elementary that I was going to. I never was challenged in my faith. I was always surrounded by believers. So no one ever, I never got to see the other side. And I also never met, any sin struggles really when I was that young. Hadn't been introduced to those certain videos that we get to. But I feel like that's probably next in the story. 4th, 5th grade, I think I found those videos and I literally did not. What are you going to say?
We've mentioned it before. I mean, you can just keep it at those videos.
Yeah, I just don't want to say the name. But
4th or 5th grade's terrifying.
I was very young.
Dude, do you know what the average age is right now
The average age.
of kids?
Finding that. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know what it is?
Dude, it's got to be something stupid, 10, 8.
8 or 9.
It is so
Jeez.
scary.
That's so bad.
It's so bad.
I found that 8th grade.
6th grade for me.
Yeah.
And I hold nothing against my parents, but it's something I'm going to learn is when I'm older, we have to put some restrictions on our phones. Because I got my first phone when I was in 3rd grade. And when you can Google anything, you will Google anything.
Well, see, that's the thing is we're the first generation with that kind of
Yeah,
ability.
they didn't know
and
that.
so they didn't know, but now we do, right?
Yeah.
That's really funny. Was at the church last night doing a parent event where they were talking about how to navigate your kids having technology. So
Yeah,
it's just
the
funny.
millennials are having kids, and they're like, "How do we do this?"
How
Because
do
they
we do
found
this?
out from us. They're like, "Oh, this is an issue," and it's yeah, it is. So
Yeah, and honestly, it's it did a lot of damage to me because I remember, and then also my mom has mentioned it before 4th grade, I was very outgoing, very happy-go-lucky little kid. But then once I found that and I knew I had to hide it because I knew this was wrong, it's I was new. I kind of was very reclusive from my family. I just stopped talking to them. I didn't like to interact with them. And I don't know why at the time, but that really did a hold on me. And then in 5th grade, my mom put me in a self-esteem club, which I still think is funny. You guys can laugh.
Wait.
you want to repeat that for me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Repeat that for me.
5th grade, my mom put me in a self-esteem club, and literally it was just 4 kids sitting in a room saying, "What do you love about yourself?" "I love this," and we had to write it. You guys are laughing at my trauma. Okay, think about that. Think about that.
Dude,
I'm gonna continue laughing.
if my mom found out that there was a praise the Lord there wasn't a self-esteem club, because I would be in that from like 3rd grade on, bro.
I'm like, I got blood red parents, like super conservative. They would look at that and be like, what?
It didn't get any better than
Yeah,
fifth
my
grade.
parents told me that mental health was an excuse for people to be lazy.
Dude.
So they would not have sent me to self-esteem club.
I would.
They would have either kept me in
Oh,
there
man.
all the time or
Yeah.
not sent me. I'm not sure.
The pointing and laughing I would receive.
Oh
Would
God,
be crazy.
It did not make it any better that in 5th grade, my mom put beads in my hair, and I'd been going to this school since I was literally a baby, and everybody thought I was a new girl. I genuinely wanted to
so
leave the
sorry.
earth, but
I'm
we
so
made it, guys. I'm here.
Kenny, you're great. I
Yeah,
love you, Kenny.
thank you. Thank you.
We love
and
you so much,
obviously,
Kenny.
it got fixed eventually. I'm a lot more talkative now.
Wait, it did?
That's crazy. Yes, but middle school.
Okay.
Um,
Before we get into that,
Yeah.
shout out to Kenny for being one of the most like loving, joy-filled,
Yes.
positive people
keep
all
going.
the time.
Keep going.
Because
This is the self-esteem
like
room now.
you said,
It's never
you said,
changed.
you said like that side of me went away. I'm like, it did. This is you not happy and joyful and super excited all the time.
Yeah, I kind of went. Once I found Christ again, I guess you could say,
Yeah.
is when I kind of got my personality back. But yeah, 6th grade and up, like middle school, you know, I kind of entered this like 3-faced lifestyle. I would say there was me at school, me with my family, me at home, and then me behind closed doors. So eventually at school, I was able to get more outgoing, or not as much as now, but I was a little more social just because like these people didn't have expectations of me. And not all these people were Christians. Go ahead. So it's just like I could say,
Kenny, do you need one?
no, I'm good. I already downed
Sounds good.
almost a whole bottle. I'm going to have to pee later. We're talking about water for anybody who's not watching the video. But
I forget that people do that.
yeah, this is a podcast.
Yeah, I forget.
Water.
Yes, you get sounds of Mason drinking water. Anyway, Kenny, continue.
Yeah. So there was me at school, and I could be a little more outgoing. And then there was me with my family. I was obviously a little more reserved. Of course, I can slightly open up over the years, but I was just very reserved. I didn't like talking to them because I just felt like anything I said about my life, they could probably figure out that what I was doing behind closed doors. Because like if I mentioned that I watched this certain movie, oh, maybe they know this movie has a sex scene in it, so they must know that I know about sex, and then like they'll go down this rabbit hole. Just every conversation I imagined in my head would end badly, so I just didn't have conversations. So yeah, now we're here, which is something I haven't even told my parents yet, so I gotta say it wasn't their fault. It was mostly me, guys. But yeah, so about 8th grade, well, honestly, all through middle school, I entered this kind of sin cycle, which we kind of know with the Israelites. You know, you praise the Lord for what he's given you, and then you get bored of it, and then you enter a sin again, and then something bad happens, so you praise God to take you out of it. He does, and you have like maybe, for me, it was like maybe 3 or 4 days without me watching those videos, doing any sexual sin, and then I'd say, okay, now I want it back, and then I entered that sin cycle over and over. It was horrible. But then I guess we're in about 9th grade. I just kind of got in a bad crowd of people that knew about this part, because, you know, it was like high schoolers, we're all boys, we all know about this, and they didn't tell me to stop. These guys didn't really know the Bible, so they just kind of supported it in a way, or just really didn't care, and made me feel more normalized, and it just made me delve into it more. And then 10th grade, I found a very sinful relationship that I got into, which is not very great. I regret a lot of things I did there. And this whole process, we both said that we were Christians, but we both twisted the Bible and just kind of ignored the verses that we didn't want to be there. Which,
Amen to that.
yeah, it was bad.
Been in one of those for 2.5 years.
Really?
Yeah.
We're going to talk about that. Well, I guess
We can talk about that later.
Huh. Okay.
It's something that I haven't talked about, and I've just been like, yeah, I was in a relationship for 2.5 years, and I'm starting to be able to talk about the stuff
What
that was
happened.
not
Yeah.
good that happened.
Yeah.
Something like that's going to happen later down the road in this story. I would never be able to say this story to anybody until I got to Crew in college and found my disciple.
Praise the Lord.
Like, genuinely, these things would not leave my mouth. If me a year ago was hearing me in this video, he would be so surprised. He'd probably
He'd be like-
die.
He'd be like, "What are you saying, man? What are you saying? Stop it!"
Yes.
No. You know that scene? You know that scene in Interstellar where he's like banging on the wall?
No,
And the
Murph! No, don't go, Murph! Yeah.
Yeah, that is literally how your old self would be
Yeah.
right now.
I gotta watch Interstellar. Everybody keeps making
Bro,
references I
you've
don't
never watched
understand.
Interstellar? Dude, it's so
No.
good.
You have never watched Peak?
That's gonna be the next part of my testimony. When my life changed when I watched Interstellar.
Dude, it's
It's
so good.
impossible. No, it's necessary. Anyway, it's
Dude, it has some of
I'll
the
watch
best
it.
music that's ever like it's some of my favorite music.
my boy Hans.
Okay.
Hans Zimmer cooked.
Oh, I know that.
Some of
Shout
the
out
best.
Hans Zimmer.
Star Wars. Is he Star Wars?
No.
Oh.
No, that's John Williams.
Yeah.
Hans Zimmer is like every other massive action movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Christopher Nolan, pretty much all of his movies is Hans Zimmer.
Yeah.
Interesting.
There's a lot of stuff that basically think really popular movie. Oh, it wasn't John Williams, it was Hans Zimmer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Good to know.
There's some other ones. There's some up and coming. Ludwig Göransson
Yes. Ooh,
wrote
what does
The
he do?
Mandalorian.
Yes,
He's
yes,
been
yes,
doing
yes.
all the new Star Wars stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But like Dune, Hans Zimmer. Inception.
Can we
Hans
talk about
Zimmer.
how good Dune was though?
Dune 1 was just
Dune
a
1
massive
was-
setup to Dune 2.
And Dune 2 sucked.
What?
Oh,
Did
controversial.
you read the book?
No.
So they go completely off script. Okay,
Well, based off what I've heard about the books, it would probably be
Jump.
best.
jump forward 2 or 3 minutes if you don't want spoilers about Dune. Yeah, okay. So in the book, first of all, Paul has a son.
Yeah.
To say that there's a 2.5 year time gap, right? When Paul joins the Fremen and when like he actually rides the worm. Okay?
yeah.
So he learns for 2.5 years. He has a kid with Cheney who ends up dying when the siege gets taken over.
Okay.
His son dies there, which pushes him over the edge more. His sister gets born. So his sister is born and is actually the one who kills the Baron. Because his sister was is a toddler, but has the mental age of like a 20-year-old because of the spice.
Oh, yeah.
So it's this whole like
freaky
chaotic.
weird,
There's
yeah.
crazy stuff. It goes completely different. So the ending is similar. So first of all, there is no like holy war. It just ends. The book just says like this fight happened and they ended, and like he became emperor. That was all it said.
Oh, wow.
And then also, the book ends with him saying, "I'm gonna marry the emperor's daughter," and he makes it clear to Cheney that like, "Hey, I'm gonna marry her just so I can become emperor, but you will be my true love," right?
Yeah.
And she is like, "Cool, that works for me," and they stay together.
No woman ever.
And I know,
Yeah.
no one ever, but like they stay together. And the next book opens. The first thing you see of Paul is him with Cheney on Arrakis. So there's no like, you suck. Why are you leaving? Like choosing
Okay.
her over me. And
So
I'm
they
leaving.
Hollywoodified that, right? I guess it makes sense.
So don't
from
get me
a
wrong.
movie.
It's a wonderful movie.
I watched
but
it 3 days in a row.
If you read the book, it goes a lot off. Also, they don't use the family atomics.
yeah.
They end up being like, oh, there's a shield. They're using a shield, and they lasgun the shield, which so there's a nuclear explosion if a lasgun hits a shield.
Oh.
So that's how they blew up the wall instead of the family atomics.
Oh, okay.
They don't use the family atomics.
Well,
they have them, but they don't use them.
As an American, I really like the family atomics. So.
Well, they had to Americanize it, right?
Yeah.
Woo! Nuclear bomb! But anyway,
Yeah.
movie rant. Let's get back to Kenny's
Kenny.
testimony.
That time to mention I didn't watch Dune 2. But, I'm going to watch it now. Now I know everything that happens. Yay.
I'm going to fight you.
Oh, well. But, yes.
Kenny, watch movies, please.
We'll do.
You don't
Where
have
was I
that
at?
much homework. Jeez.
Okay,
That's my
Kenny.
homework. Oh?
Never mind. I was gonna say, find a woman who is good for you,
Who's
woman
gonna
of
put me
Christ,
onto these movies.
and then who will put you onto these movies, and you guys can have date nights watching movies. Because that's where I catch up
Will
on most
do.
of my movies. Is where I start dating someone, and then
Dude.
we just watch movies.
Okay.
So, no.
Kenny, sorry.
All good. But yeah, all right. 10th grade relationship, very bad. And because we were both Christians, like I said, we were twisting the Bible to what we wanted it. I had somehow convinced myself during this season. I vividly remember, I said, I'm coming closer to Christ. This relationship is bringing me closer to Him. And looking back at it, it was probably the furthest I ever was.
Not Mason's Delulu eyes.
You guys should watch the video just for that part.
I want you to like break the fourth wall. Be like, I'm getting closer to Christ. Little did I know, I
I
was
know.
not.
But yeah, that relationship actually came to an abrupt end when their dad found us doing something we shouldn't, and because of because of that, maybe I shouldn't say that. Oh well, it's on the air now.
Too bad.
You guys don't know this person. So yeah, that happened, and it came to an abrupt end. And the horrible part of it is, we were both like probably at our lowest moments after it ended because we couldn't see each other. But it's not like we were missing each other's love or each other's time. We were both missing each other's bodies, and that was during the time it made sense to me. But man, look, in hindsight, I'm so mad at myself for that. And then actually, that person like kind of accused me for a lot of horrible things, rape, what's the word I'm looking for? Manipulation, which these are all untrue. You guys know me. These are all untrue.
Oh, I know you.
Yeah.
But it's just, I knew they were hurt, and it's my fault they were hurt because I got away from the situation scot-free, and their whole lives changed. And that's, it always helped me with a lot of shame. And during the season, it's probably when I was watching those videos the most, just because I was at such a low point. And after that, we stopped talking. But I was at the lowest point in my life, probably. I won't say I considered doing anything drastic, but I just went to everything else to try to take me out of it. I went to the gym. I went to more videos. I went to a lot of other relationships, not as sinful, but just something like even friendships too that were rushed and not needed, but just something to occupy my time and mind so I couldn't think about my past. But even during this whole time, I was stalking their Instagram page and reminding myself of it constantly. So I never escaped that past. I know it's horrible.
As someone this is our 4th or 5th podcast episode, and after Kalen, if you listen to Kalen while it was out, that's a crazy one. I'm like sitting here, like, okay, like these are things, and I just look over, and Mason just has the most shocked.
Well,
because
because I'm relating. Like, there's
Yeah,
a lot of my.
Oh,
story.
I can too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And so I'm shocked with anyone's testimony. You could be like, I was saved at 6 years old, and it's like, what? That's great. It's just because I don't know. Just I know what eventually is going to happen because I'm seeing the end product.
You're
or not
seeing
the
it
end.
now.
Yeah, I'm seeing you now, and it's like. Oh, dude, this is gonna be a crazy shift. Like, I can't wait for the. But Jesus, yeah,
But God.
yeah, exactly.
But yeah, honestly, just all of that filled me with so much shame and just so much heartache. Because like now I knew that it was this. Oh, are you crying?
No, I had something in my eye.
Oh, sure.
Gosh.
Sure, buddy. It's okay.
Kendarius.
But yeah, name drop. That's crazy, guys. My name is Kendarius. I don't know if y'all know that. But
Anyone who knows me
Kendarius.
knows your name is Kendarius because that is like all I call you.
Wow.
I
So
have
funny.
I have to be like, come honest. Like at Thrive today, I was having to like check myself to call you Kenny and not Kendarius. I wanted.
I've never noticed
I
that.
need you to use like your actual name as like a D&D name.
like naturally,
No.
I call you Kendarius, and I've had to like
Kendarius.
remind myself recently to call you Kenny.
I really never noticed that. I respond to both, so they just kind of both register the same. But yeah, and honestly, during the season, it's like I would be hesitant to go to prayer because I just felt like God did not want to talk to me after everything I did.
He definitely wanted
Heck
to talk
no.
to you. Yeah.
Yeah, and this at the time also drove me again further from my family. Like I was saying, I had these 3-phase mindset. I was kind of coming together towards this time, but after that ended, I again went back into this reclusive state of mind. Yeah, and then also because of that, I faced like kind of a big identity crisis from like 6th to 11th, 10th grade before I found Jesus again. It's just because like I always was changing myself for who I was around. I never knew what my identity was until later down the road. I found my identity in Christ. Spoilers, sorry. But yeah, I never knew who I really was. And then eventually someone shared their testimony, someone very close to me, someone who I looked up to. I won't say though, but they also struggled a lot with these videos. And it was, yeah, I won't say. But yeah, they also struggled a lot. This is 11th grade. And just somebody I always looked up to during my time. And when they said that, I was like, oh. And they were giving their testimony, their Christian testimony, and they said how Jesus brought them out of it. And I was like, maybe I should bring Jesus into this. So yeah, at this time. Go ahead.
Maybe we should let the king of cooking.
The king of cooking enter the chat.
King of cooking, cook.
That was really bad. I'm gonna cut that out.
Okay.
That's gonna be in the
yeah.
Gen Z Bible. We're gonna get that in.
No,
there
I'm
somewhere.
actually gonna leave that in because I'm a true and honest podcaster, and I just make my audience cringe. It's okay.
Yeah, everyone just like, ooh, if they're driving down the road, that's it just turned a little bit. Yeah.
Anyways, yeah,
That I promise that didn't come out the way I wanted it to. And I'm sorry, but anyway, continue.
that's okay.
You like got our attention too. You're like, wait,
Like,
hold
it's
on.
gonna be so good.
I was like, the king something, let him cook, and then I was like,
King of
and
cooking.
then that didn't work. Let the
You get it next
chef-
time.
Let the head chef cook.
Let the head chef cook.
Head of the church.
Head of the oh.
Ooh. I'll just like cut out what I said and just put that in there.
Just put
Yeah.
as if you said something so great.
So anyway, because it's only been 10 seconds, back to your testimony.
Yes.
Wink, wink.
Yeah, after he shared his testimony, this person in my life, I was like, okay, I'll bring God into this. And I started reading my Bible more. It was mostly daily verses. It was hard for me to read a whole chapter.
Dude, it starts small. It starts
Yeah,
small. Yeah.
dude.
I started those daily verses.
I've told students, read a freaking word of the Bible. I'll be happy with that.
Oh, whoa.
The revelation is crazy.
In the beginning. Anyways,
Just in.
wow.
Tomorrow I'll read the.
It's going to change your life. But yeah, it was daily verses. And during this, I was able to start talking to God more, saying more things. Like literally, I would not say what happened in my life. Of course, God knows everything that's already happened.
Yeah.
But I would just refuse to bring it up in prayer. I was like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. That never happened. Yeah, I did that for a while. But as I was getting in my verses, I started getting a lot better at it. And around 12th grade, I was like, okay, I'm doing all of this on my own. I need people to help me. Even though I had my family, I just don't like going to them. So I said, God, give me community. Like literally maybe the next day or maybe 2 days later, I want to say I prayed that prayer on a Tuesday. And then Thursday, nope, because our Wednesday nights. So I prayed that prayer on a Monday. And then that Tuesday, my friend walks up and says, hey, Ken, you want to come to my youth group at my church tomorrow? And I'm like, Logan, no, name drop, you are an answered prayer. And yeah.
Anyone who listens to this podcast knows we name drop.
We name drop.
Heavily.
No one goes unsaid.
But only good things sometimes. But yeah. So yeah, and I was like, yeah, let's do it. So I finally got this community, and though I won't say it was like super crazy, oh my gosh, he gave me my Bible. This pastor at this church is the one that gave me my study Bible, and I use that Bible every day.
Yes. We love a good study
Pastor
Bible.
Alex, I hope you're looking at this video. I'll send it to you. But yeah, and just being around other believers who could give my faith, I started learning a lot of worship songs that I didn't know. Because this was, as I said, this was the second church I ever went to, like, actually. Because I only had gone to my small Baptist church, which was a big part of my shame, too. Because, like, everybody know who my family is. They expect me to be this good Christian boy, which I was not at the time.
Which is a false standard for people.
Very much so. But yeah, and then I finally got community. It was so great. Changed my life. But of course, I was still delving into these videos. Still had not opened up. But at least this time, I was praying for somebody to confess to. Like, I needed somebody to talk to. But I was very stubborn. There were definitely people in my life who God was saying, hey, talk to this person. But I just didn't want to.
Oh, it was so there.
Yeah.
I could, like, in the story, I could tell you, like, you're ready at this point.
Yes.
You're ready, you know?
It was literally in my journal. I don't know if it's still in my journal, but I wrote down names of people I could possibly go to. I've told them all now. I've realized that now. But at the time, I could not do it. And this was like more the end of 12th grade. And I'm a freshman now, guys, so it's almost been a year. And then, yeah, that happened, but it was a really big faith grower. Then we have my summer. So I found out, that last relationship I was in, they got a new boyfriend because, I was still stalking them. But they got a new boyfriend. And I was like, oh, I guess they've moved on. That's great. And it was actually pretty crazy for this entire summer. And about a month into college, I did not have any strong, lustful temptations. For some reason, it was like my break. I was like, okay, that they were holding me to these videos and these things. Somebody brought up to me later, my brother who's going into ministry, a thing called soul ties. Do you know y'all ever heard of that?
Soul ties.
Well, there's a verse. It's like once you sleep with a prostitute is what the Bible says. Like you are one flesh.
So there's scientific. They've now found
Yes.
studies behind
It's
it.
actually
I
really
watched a lot
interesting.
of videos on it.
Yeah, so there's a chemical that is released at childbirth that bonds the mother and the child.
Mm-hmm.
That same chemical is released. The only other time it's released is during intercourse.
Mm-hmm.
So you're chemically bonding to the person you're having intercourse with the same way a mother bonds with her child.
That is why we are only meant to sleep with our wives.
Which is
or
why the Bible
husbands.
is very clear about only do it with your husband or wife because
Because that's how we're designed.
that
Yeah,
connection.
Okay.
And
With-
the more you make it and break it, the weaker the connections get.
Which is just so evident that God is in our creation. Because people at the time who were writing the Bible, there's no way they knew about this chemical.
No, there's no way. We
but
found
they
out
said,
in the last
hey,
5 years.
you are bonded when you do this with a person.
Dude, trust me, bro. It happened.
It does. And that's just
you'll
God's
find out in
design.
2022.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, dude, that.
Trust me, bro. Trust me, bro.
But I found out later because I told my brother about this maybe a couple months ago. And he was telling me it's probably a soul tie. And that's why I was being so bonded with this person. But once I found that out, that was kind of like my breaker. And I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. So most of my summer, maybe like every now and then I would watch a video of that. But I did not have strong lustful temptations or I wasn't going into sexual sin that much. And it was so great. Then I got into college and I wanted community again because I loved it so much in high school. I found Crew, which was great. You guys are all right. And then, no, you guys are great too. But
Episode 4, they said, was the last time Kenny was on the podcast.
Dang.
yeah. But then I really thought I had learned how to beat it. I was like in my word, and this time I can read full chapters a day. Whoa.
Let's go.
I was in my word. I was with community, and I had a somewhat good prayer life. And I was like, okay, I found the method, and I didn't have to tell anybody about my past.
The method.
Yay. Yeah, but then maybe around school started August.
Yeah.
What month comes after August?
September.
So probably around September, for some reason, I got hit with that like lustful wave again. Maybe because like I'm seeing relationships or things like that. You know, I don't know what it was, but for some reason,
You start doing the right
Dude.
thing, the flesh fights back.
Yeah, I guess
Yeah.
so.
Dude, the Marietta campus is so funny
Oh,
because the ratio of guys to girls has to be like 8 to 1, right?
Or more. Yeah.
And if we're talking straight women, it's now
The
to like
stats
30
go
to
down.
1.
14 to 1.
Oh my
So it's
gosh.
really funny because the first week of school, you will watch every girl that wants to have a boyfriend find one. By week 2, every girl you see that like you can
Is
like,
left.
like almost every girl has some guy, and I'm like, that's so funny. Like it. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
Literally that's all I saw for the first 2 weeks was just every relationship that started because
Can I make a really poor joke?
do it.
Supply and demand.
That is how
Oh my
it works.
gosh.
Yeah. When you're so vastly outnumbered.
Dude, it's not as bad as my dad. My dad got married to my mom. They're both aerospace engineers from Georgia Tech.
Oh, wow.
There was 500 people in aerospace. There were 3 women,
Oh my gosh. And he found her.
and my dad married.
What an athlete.
I know, right? It helps that he's 6'4", ran track and plays football. Can talk to women.
Yeah.
Like
Read feminist
just talking to
literature.
women
read-
cuts out 300 of the students. So,
Man. Yeah, exactly.
but yeah, no, those 3 women in aerospace, and my dad got one of them.
That's insane.
I have to shake his hand.
He'll be here this week.
Dude.
Really?
Yeah,
What a-
they're coming up
meet him.
Saturday night.
Cool.
Man. Sir, I've heard about you. It's just so cool. Like
I heard about your ability to get.
I wasn't aware with your game. Like,
Teach me your ways, please.
yeah.
But yeah.
Kenny.
Now I thought I worked method, but then this hit, and it was distraught because I thought I was at the highest at my faith. I thought this was peak, brought me down again. Didn't want to pray about it. I was just back to my old self again. Were you gonna say something?
No.
Oh, sorry. And then
I'm just locked in.
yeah, and then at this time, maybe like a week or two. No, it was much longer than a week. I'd say maybe about a month after I'm back in my sin cycle again. Michael Brown gave a talk.
Yes,
This
Michael
is-
Brown.
Yes, last semester he gave a talk on what your sex and sexuality should be as a follower of Christ, and it was very uncomfortable in the room. It was
Very uncomfortable.
Very tough
Dude,
conversation.
nobody
It was
liked
even
it.
worse. So I do production for Crew, So I'm doing stuff during worship, and I have to step out because my friend calls me, and I didn't look at what the sermon was that day. I walked in midway through, and I'm just like,
Sex.
what is
pleasurable.
going on?
Yeah, he's just like, so God's designed for sex in your life. It's like,
I think
I
I'm
just
in the wrong
had a
room,
conversation
actually.
with my friend about her dog being sick, and then,
And then you walk in.
and then I just walk in.
yeah, it's like, all right, Michael, well, let's talk about that.
Yeah, but that was just crazy convicting. Like after I hit it again, I was like, wow, okay, I hear you, Lord. And at this point, I was praying, bawling for somebody to confess to. And actually, at this time, I was being discipled by Cooper.
Shout out,
Shout
Cooper.
out. I
First
love
episode.
Cooper.
Give him a look.
Unk.
Yeah, and then also
Great. What did you call? You called him Papa,
Papa Coop.
Cooper. The Papa Coop
Papa
the other
Coop.
day.
Papa Coop.
yes,
Jacob
and,
took offense to that. He's like, he's old, not even that much older
yeah,
than me.
and his girlfriend Kaylee, we call her Mama K now, cause
Mama
why not?
K. I'm gonna steal that.
Which is so weird because then, like, if that's like that whole thing is weird because everyone. Okay, if you don't know Crew, there's jokes that like call them mom and dad
Yeah,
because they used to date and now they're dating again. But then this like that even makes it even more weird the like sibling thing, because now it's like now you have more siblings.
yeah, probably.
And
like my stepmom.
and now I have more cousins.
Now,
Oh my
see, this is
God.
why we don't go too deep into it.
Don't think too hard.
Yeah,
Don't think too hard.
like Joseph is Mason's son. End of conversation.
He is my cousin.
He is your.
Somewhere down the line.
What's really funny is that I'm y'all's uncle.
Ugh, get away from me.
I'm Unk. I'm
Oh,
Unk.
okay, back to yours. Back to Coop.
After
Yes.
tangent number 4, go for it.
Yes.
Dude, there's so many tangents,
is.
and I'm here for it. I should have known getting this group together.
it was gonna
It's
happen.
just gonna be tangents.
Just wait
bro.
until mine, because I'll take us on tangents with mine.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
kind of crazy.
At this time, though, I'm being discipled, which is great, and I'm also in a small group, which is great. Just a bunch of things building my faith. But Cooper didn't know about this. My discipler, of course, my small group didn't know about this. Lucas was in my small group.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then after this conviction, I was saying, okay, I need somebody to confess to. And then at this time, so many people around me are sharing their testimonies and getting baptized and having to share their testimonies. And it's like, I kept being asked. Yeah, during this time, this was last semester though, like everybody was asking me to share my testimony. And I was getting so upset because I couldn't. Like, anytime somebody asked, it's like I felt like I was still in the sin. How am I saying how I was saved if I'm still here? Which is something I didn't learn, you know. Christians aren't perfect, you know. The sin doesn't just go away. But I just couldn't do it. And then, yeah, so then there was finally a time in discipleship because me and Peter get discipled together.
Peter.
Yes, Peter,
My almost roommate. I'm gonna.
your
cry.
almost roommate.
Did you hear about this?
I thought that y'all were gonna be roommates. What happened?
We were. We applied back
Yeah.
in February.
Yeah.
We've gone in multiple times, and they're just like, "We'll reach out to you," and then still
They
haven't.
never reached out.
Hashtag KSU.
I know, dude. I could go on a whole tangent about class registration.
You'll be getting
But
a
before
strongly
we do
worded
that-
email.
Oh, you poor freshman. Yeah.
But yeah, Peter shared his testimony. It was great because he was right before he get baptized. So Cooper was just looking over it, and then Cooper shared his testimony, and like
Well,
every
Which is
word in
also
it-
on the first ever episode. Go
Yes.
check it out.
Cooper has a crazy testimony.
It's so good, bro.
It's honestly
you know
similar to mine.
You know what's
And,
crazy?
Yeah.
It was so funny. They were sharing their testimonies, and Jacob and Cooper realized that they both broke down crying in the middle of the night in fast food restaurants.
Yeah. Yeah, that is. Wow.
Yeah. But yeah, just even though we have some differences in our
The
stories,
power of food. Anyway.
everything.
Speaking of the food guy,
Your food guy. you
Everything-
called.
Okay. Everything he was saying though was resonating me with like just being in this pit of loneliness or like, you know, not being able to connect with friends and family on deeper levels. Like every word he was saying was just resonating and I knew God was saying, this is the guy. Talk to this guy. And eventually I did. Well, actually, a little bit in between that. After that moment of discipleship, I go back to my room, bawl my eyes out, and I'm saying, I don't want to tell anybody about this. Absolutely not. But then my sister, out of the blue, sends me a text. Literally, we have not talked in like 3 weeks. And she says, hey, you doing okay? What?
tell me God isn't real.
I think she's a prophet. She denies, but it was crazy. But yeah,
I have stuff like I've had experiences like
it
that.
was so weird, and of course.
But I've been on her side before.
Oh
which is crazy.
yeah, yeah. You told me about
wish.
this. Man, I don't have
He
that
loves
sixth sense.
gifts of the spirit.
Yeah. Jeez. I just know that I took that
Bro.
spiritual gifts test and my lowest was mercy.
Bro, you know what though?
What?
Guess what you have?
What?
You get to communicate. I
Oh.
don't have the gift of communication,
I
Mister.
definitely
I
have.
preached a sermon on Wednesday.
That's true.
Banger sermon, by the way, guys.
Thank you.
Are you guys okay if we take this past 10 o'clock? Like much past. 10?
Oh yeah.
Okay, cool. Because I have something to do at 10, and I'll have to leave for like 30 minutes, but then I'll come back. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
What time
cool.
is it?
It's 9:50.
Okay. Do you
Okay.
think you could wrap up your sermon or your testimony in
yeah,
a few
we're
minutes?
coming
And then
towards
we'll-
the end right
Then
now.
we'll yap, and then we'll cut, and then we'll
Yeah.
come back.
Cool.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. So I tell. Oh well, yeah. Then my sister texts me, and it's so insane. Of course, I lie. I'm like, yeah, I'm doing great. Why do you ask? And she's like, oh, I don't know. Just want to check in. And then I say, okay, I'm gonna be so honest right now, girl. I'm crying. Like, what's happening? What's happening? And then she tells me that she had a dream about me, like yesterday, being tied around a tree, and like she could have helped me. She was asking to help me, but I kept denying it, and I was like, no, I don't want the help. And I was like. Oh, and then I cried harder. I was like, we're going to talk about this later when I'm back in town. But for now, you keep that.
Every day I grow more and more charismatic.
Dude, no, it's so bad. Dude, you'll see it when you come to PCCYA.
Yeah.
We're basically Pentecostal there.
Oh,
It's gonna be. We don't have ribbon flags,
Yeah.
sadly.
Shout
But
out Caitlin Pitts. Anyway. she's
But
super
you will
Pentecostal.
see people running around like we are the most like
It's getting there.
it's getting there. And I love
Non-denom has a spectrum of Baptist to Pentecostal. It's
Yep.
really
You don't know
it.
what you're gonna
Passion's
get.
very
You have
much
no idea
on
what
the
you're gonna get.
Pentecostal side,
I got you. Yeah.
which I love. I've learned to love, but it's definitely not everyone's cup of tea.
It's Anyway,
Yeah.
continue.
But then she says that, and like, boom. It was just kind of a affirmation from God that like I have people to support me. I have so many people who love me, and so many people who want to hear about these things that I just refuse to let help me. But then I wasn't gonna be back in home for a while, so I talked to Cooper first, and I got my meeting with him. I was like, "Hey man, how's life?" Anyways, I have a lot to tell you. And this was also, I forgot to mention this. Also at the time, he was asking us to lead a small group, me and Peter, and I really had to think on it because I was still struggling with my sin cycle, and like the main thought going through my head was like, if I can't beat my own sin, how can I help other people beat theirs?
Oof.
And that tore me
The
down.
number one ministry question.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then I talked to him about it, and pretty much when we got in that room, I told him everything. I was like, I've literally never said this to anybody. I don't want to say it right now, but I'm doing it. And I don't know why. I just expect it to be like excommunicated. I just expect it to be.
You are no longer my son.
Yes. I was just like, he's probably going to say, take a break from discipleship or something. But no, he just met me with love, met me with compassion,
As Cooper does.
understanding.
Yeah.
And it was like probably one of my top 5 conversations of all my life. And it was so great. And yeah, that was just an amazing moment for me. He introduced me to Covenant Eyes, which is a
Yes.
porn blocker. If you have a problem with that, check it out. Super great. He also just became my accountability partner, somebody I could talk to anytime.
Yes.
Yes. So Cooper just became that guy for me. And now I've been able to share my story a lot more. Like I would not have been able to say this, like as I said before, but I've been able to share with a lot of people.
Spring break trip. Let's
Spring
go.
break. Yep, I got some beach walks to tell people about it.
Yeah.
And I've just been so much freer. I've been like not struggling with it as much. Of course, it's still there slightly, but it's so much better than it was before. And I have people to help me now through it. But yeah, and now I'm leading a small group. I'm doing discipleship. I'm gonna be some big dog in crew. I want to be something, maybe outreach leader. I don't know. I want to take a leadership role. But yeah, I just want to help out now. And Lord has grown me in so many ways. Of course, my story is never ending. But yeah, and pretty great to be here.
Dude, thank you so much for
Sweet.
sharing.
Yeah, dude. That's awesome.
I love testimonies so much, and obviously everyone knows that because that's literally my favorite thing to do and bring people
Testimonies.
on for. But I think it's just such a cool thing because it's like all of us relate. and all of us have been in the same spot,
Yeah.
and God has taken all of us out of it in crazy individual ways that just give him glory.
Yes.
Like
100%.
I never had my sister have a dream about me. I don't have a sister, but I've
Oh.
never had somebody
That's a
have a
detail.
dream about me that like led them to reach out. Like that's just not what I've experienced. But it's like I've had crazy other things happen.
I forgot to drop a verse because at this time, after she told me about the dream and I told her I was crying, she sent me this verse that stuck with me. I think it's Romans 8:38-39, which is for all have sinned and fallen short from the glory of God.
Yes.
I'm missing a verse there, but that verse was so powerful for me because like I don't know why I was just so uncomfortable sharing my sin. Like I feel like this was only my problem, but that verse reminded me, hey, everybody deals with this struggle.
Yeah.
And they're here to support you. But yeah, I forgot to drop that. But yeah.
Boom. Does somebody want to give his? Do you want to give his testimony 5 big booms?
I got you. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Boom, 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 boom.
Dude, the people around you are gonna be so confused.
It's Friday. They're all gone.
Yeah.
They
That's
better
fair.
be.
Dude, oh my gosh.
This
I'm
campus
going
dies on
home.
weekends.
Dude, hey, this one's bad. Marietta's horrible. I see 5
It dies
people.
every evening.
I see 5 people on the weekend. But okay. Well, you need to go.
Yes.
So we will be back in just a second for you guys. 30 minutes for us. We'll be back in just a
The
second.
magic of editing.
So that Mason, you can share yours. Excited to hear it.
Yeah.
All right. Bye,
Be
guys.
right back.
We're back.
We're back.
It's been an hour.
One of our people are missing. It has been an hour. Dude, I wish we were recording it because we had such good conversations.
Yeah.
But, yeah, one of our people is missing. Kenny, there was an incident with the police. Everyone's fine. It's all okay. He's having to go write a report.
Yeah.
So he'll be back. We did not expect it to take this long.
Crazy stuff. He'll probably fill us in when he gets back.
For sure.
Yeah.
But, I guess getting right into it.
Mm-hmm.
Testimony number 2. By the way, it's 11 o'clock at night. I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
But let's get this testimony started.
Okay. In the Meninging. Okay, so born March 4th, 2005, 030405.
Oh, you're like,
Yeah.
I'm 10/14/05. So you're
Huh.
like 7 months
Yeah.
older than me. Not too bad.
Not too bad, not too bad. Yeah, I barely made it into my school year because of March and all that.
See, I was on the other end.
Oh, you were just.
I was very young I was very old for my age.
Look at that! Wow. Anyway, the birth had literally nothing to do with that. It's just Kenny started off his with that. I was born into a non-believing family for the most part. You can technically make an argument for Episcopalian kind of belief, which, fun fact, Episcopalianism is they try their best to be the mixture between Catholicism and Protestantism. They often try to be like, we're the best of both worlds, and they end up being the worst of both worlds. And it doesn't work out super well. But anyway, I was baptized super young, like baby. They don't do sprinkle, they don't do dunk. They take you and dip like the top of your head
Again, in the middle.
in the middle, very much in the middle. They are middle coated. They do not do much.
Dude, are you just sinking into
I am because Kenny.
Do you want me to come sit next to you?
Sure, do it.
Let's-
100%.
Let's do that. I'm going to switch mics. I'm
Oh,
gonna
here
leave
we
this one
go. Boom, 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 boom.
It's going to be fun for me to figure out.
Transition
It's going to be
mode.
fun for me to figure out in editing, but it'll be fun.
Yeah.
That way you're not sinking.
Oh yes, counterweight. Yay. So
use
yeah, you
this.
take that. You
Okay.
take that. So, anyway, was born not into a really believing family. The Episcopalian part was more so just like your, because like my grandparents, just on my mom's side, were doing like we should go on Sundays and Easter and Christmas and that kind of thing.
It's the right thing to do.
The American way, right?
Yeah.
And my parents went because of that, and I was baptized and whatever, and then it just really was nothing behind it. Yeah, so my dad was in the military. He was in the Navy. He drove submarines, which was really cool. The dad lore is insane.
That Lord, that is crazy.
Yes.
Driving submarines?
Yeah, so I'll give you one story real quick. Because there's plenty, but essentially, he drove submarines. And fun fact, one of the big things that we do with submarines is we go up to other fleets of nations that we're not necessarily friends with, and we'll take pictures of them and literally send it to them. Hey, is this you, little bro? We literally do that.
Bro, Kai, you know the whole like meme where it's like, He's right behind me.
Yeah.
It's just like
Yeah.
you just send them a thing
Go.
while you're underneath them.
Yeah. So like the Russians, we mess with them all the time, and it's just war games. That's really all it is. And
I'm sure they do it back.
yeah, and we're allowed to talk about it because even the Russians know. So it's like, and they don't really do it back too often because their submarines are super loud and we can hear them coming like forever away. But anyway, my dad had one where he was driving, right, and they're like, we want to get super close for this one. It's July 4th, right? And he's like, okay, you want to bet? Let's do that. And so he got 1,776 meters away, or some nautical meters, however long it was, kilometers, I don't know. Just that number of whatever distance away, which was super freaking close. But on the mission log, it reads for that kind of mission, the date and then how close you got. And then it shows like all the pictures and that kind of stuff. And so it read July 4th, 1776.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is sick.
Yeah, that's just kind of some of the. Also, my dad has his box, and he's one of the few people that have this. But he has a box that is locked, and it's just filled with information of stuff that he's done, and it cannot be opened until he dies.
That's crazy.
Yeah, like my mom doesn't even know what's in it.
Dude, both of our dads have such good dad lore.
The lore is insane. I just wish he'd come to Christ, but
We're working on it.
oof, yeah. So fast forward a little bit. One of my earliest ever encounters with faith had to be when I was 8 years old, and I was so desperately alone because I was bullied in school and was just never really liked. I prayed for. Yeah, I'm sorry.
It's okay. We're here.
Yeah, I prayed to have a sibling. I was like, I didn't really even quite understand prayer. I was just sort of like, just 8-year-old kind of throwing it out there, I guess.
Cosmic deity that might hear me.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, I want a sibling. 2 weeks later, my mom was like, hey, I'm pregnant. I know.
Answered prayer.
Crazy faith drop there, right? And what did Mason do? Nothing with that. Absolutely not.
He's
He's
like, that's cool.
that's really cool. Wow, yeah. You know, sister's born, lover, Molly. Never really took my faith into that at all. Like, that's not where my faith started. I kind of delved into this like prideful atheist agnostic kind of thing, built the world around whatever the shape of Mason wanted it to be, right? Because logic was my god for a long time. Because I mean, I grew up with a bit of a logical standpoint. I can think that way, and so
What does your mom do?
my mom is a professional stay-at-home mom.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does she do anything beforehand?
She's had some oddball jobs here and there, like Lowe's. Like we were never like super well off, so
But she didn't have like another career. Like, does that make sense? Like, did she go to college for something?
she did go to college. She's got 3 degrees and 90 grand worth of debt of emergency management.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get to. I was just asking because both of my parents are aerospace engineers.
Yeah.
Which is why my brain was raised with the logical thinking engineer brain. Like, does that make sense? So I was just trying to figure
Yeah.
out if there was a reason that your brain went
My
to
parents
logic.
were super good at street smarts, not school smarts.
Interesting. Okay.
Because my dad grew up on the streets of California. His dad was a motorcycle cop, and he Fast and Furious 1 is literally my dad's life. He raced and everything. They didn't race for pink slips. That's stupid. Why would you race to lose your car? He raced for money, to buy cool stuff for your car. And then my mom also was a military brat and grew up in several different areas, mainly Colorado, where this is her words, the only cool things that you could do are shoot stop signs, do drugs, and have sex. So that's what she did, right? So that's kind of how my parents grew up. And so they were like, well, we want something different for our son. And so I was a sheltered little boy in a lot of different ways, while also having the standard of you should be better. And so I thought I was better in a lot of different ways. I moved every 4 years because of the military. My dad had a hard time being in my life in those early years. There was a lot of birthdays that he missed, a lot of celebrations, that kind of thing. Just because of the nature of the job. And I don't fully blame him for that. I do wish he would have made the decision to leave the military so much sooner, because I wanted a dad and I needed a dad in my life. My mom shouldn't have played both parent roles, but that's just the nature of it. And the people that serve our nation do definitely deserve our respect because of that sacrifice. He was able to put food on the table. We were never super rich. We were never broke, though. Till about mid-high school, when we had to live in a camper. That was just because the housing situation was terrible. The housing market said,
Yeah, that was a rough time.
That was a rough time.
Praise the Lord that we actually bought a house right before.
We had one,
Peaked.
but it was just
Well,
just couldn't
we were
sustain
able to
it.
buy a house like it was being built. So we bought a house that was like a military person was like, because I'm from a military town,
Yeah.
near Savannah, and like he had put it down, and then he had got moved, and so he like got out of the contract, and so we just like took his spot in the contract, so we were able to get a house for a really good price during that like chaotic season, dude. It's paid dividends, but yeah, no, I get the because we were like, oh, I guess we'll put our house on the market and see what's open.
Yeah.
Because we're looking at moving. Dude, it sold in 3 days for cash. Like, they moved here from Washington State, offered cash, and bought the house.
That's where I was born.
For 30 grand more than we were planning on offering it.
Oh, wow.
Like, putting it out. We were just like, hey, we'll put it out high, and then we'll drop it if we need to. Dude, they bought the house. We're like, crap, we move out in a week, and we don't have any place to go. We ended up living at my grandparents for like 3 weeks because there was that transition time.
Yeah. Wow. So I was born in Washington State. I lived in Washington, Hawaii, Louisiana for a little bit, Connecticut, and then my final move was to Georgia.
Yay.
Yay, a little
Where?
town, Camden County. Yeah, so 20 minutes north of Jacksonville, but in Georgia.
No way.
Yes way.
So south of, like, near Brunswick?
South of Brunswick.
So, obviously, I'm from Savannah.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know where Richmond Hill is?
Yeah.
So, I'm from Richmond Hill.
Oh, you.
But no, that makes sense. So, we go to, my parents go sailing in Amelia Island.
Oh,
So, we drive through that area all the time.
Yeah, it's a great drive-through
Of course I
area.
freaking know Camden County.
Yeah,
We've played their football team all the time.
100%. We've been to your stadium so many times.
Yeah, no, I remember all the times.
Look at that. Ayo. High school rivals.
Yes,
Not as
sir.
bad as Camden and Brunswick and Glen.
Hey, yeah, and we hate Effingham.
We hate Effingham too.
Dude,
Yeah.
there's nobody worse than Effingham.
And there's a South Effingham.
No, both Effinghams.
Both
bro.
Effingham.
Don't get me wrong. So I played lacrosse. South Effingham was way worse at lacrosse than Effingham was, so our beef was always with Effingham. But football, no. Anything with the word Effingham in it. It makes it so hard because then I go to church, and we have a campus in Effingham.
Oof.
And so, like, I'm working with people who were raised in Effingham, and I'm like,
Yeah,
like, have to
ministry's better than the high school rivalry, I guess.
I know, and you just have to put the rivalry down.
Oh,
But, yeah.
dang. We were always beefing with Brunswick High and Glen High.
Oh,
'cause
definitely.
They shared a stadium. Broke. Anyway.
You want to know where I got graduated?
Where?
In that stadium.
What?
Yeah, we didn't have a big enough space at Richmond Hill to graduate, so we graduated in Brunswick.
Oh, I'm going to point and laugh.
Yay, the joy of graduating with 550 other people.
Yeah. Wow. I graduated with 550 other people as well.
But you weren't in that stadium?
We had a stadium that could hold us. Heck yeah, the concrete dome. But anyway.
Wait, you said you did marching band, right?
Yeah.
So you definitely were in Richmond Hill Stadium.
Yeah, 100%.
That's so
Every
crazy.
year.
Dude, that's insane.
For
Anyway,
context, I did fourth grade is when I started my percussion journey. I did drums
That's what I wanted.
until the end of high school. It was about 10 years of my life was dedicated to band.
Yay.
It led to a lot of my social circles, which I'll get to. But anyway, final move to Georgia, Camden County in 8th grade. This would be the final move because my dad would end his military years there. Ironically, it was his first post and it was his last in the military.
Full
And
circle moment.
you know what changed in that town in the span of 21 years?
Nothing.
There was a Tractor Supply there now.
Dude, you know Pooler?
Pooler. What's
It's like
that?
in Savannah, suburb on the like left side of 95.
Sure.
Have you ever been to Pooler?
I've been to Savannah once.
Okay, so there's a suburb called Pooler
Yeah.
where like it has been blowing up like crazy.
Yeah.
Dude, when my dad was in college, he was a co-op at Gulfstream in Savannah.
Yeah.
There was a Walmart and a Zaxby's, and now it's like they have 3 Chick-fil-A's. Dude, it is like the place to be. It's
Once
just so
Publix
crazy.
and Chick-fil-A show up,
Dude,
then it's
over.
officially a town.
They have 2, maybe 3 Publixes.
Yep, it's a town.
That's how
now.
you know
Heck
how
yeah.
big. That's how you know how
Yeah.
large it is.
That's crazy. Camden County has one Chick-fil-A and one Publix, and so it is technically a town. But it's really funny. It's split
In
into
the South, that is the requirements for anyone.
that
who
is a
wonders.
requirement. So it is. All right. There are 3 cities that make up Camden County. Technically 4. We'll get there. There's Woodbine, Kingsland, and St. Mary's. Kingsland and St. Mary's are kind of like the main 2. They're sisters.
St. Mary's
Yeah, St. Mary's River is right
Yep.
there. And then Browntown. You're not gonna find it on a map. It is. It's literally a community of like 40 people that live in trailer homes.
Fun.
Yeah, it's in the middle. It's between it's the west portion of Camden County, and it's just like this dead zone out by the dump, ironically, and it's Browntown. It's not on any map. God bless their souls. Anyway, I moved there in 8th grade. The day before 8th grade, I get braces. I've moved. I'm fat. I have glasses, and I have a buzz cut.
Sounds like peak bullying.
Yeah, no, I am. If you're a bully, you're looking for Mason at this point.
You're like a 3-course meal.
I am. I have. There's so much stacked against me, and I walk into 8th grade, of course, being bullied. Right. I have no friends. It's terrible. Right. I joined band. I'm kind of like middle of the pack, good, because I came from a northern school. Therefore, I had good funding at that school and can learn band better. Right. These kids were just a bit more adapted than me and less terrified, which I would eventually meet one of my best friends of all time, Brock Montgomery Gay. Yes, his last name is Gay. Go ahead and laugh. Okay, they're done laughing now.
Yeah.
That's a generational
Wait,
joke.
how is it spelled?
G-A-Y.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because I know I've heard some like G-U-A-Y.
yeah.
But no, I know some people with that last
What's
name.
funny is that the Gay family actually runs Camden County. They are the plumbers. They work at Lockheed Martin. They're
Sick.
the blue collar. They run that joint. Brock was related to everybody, but Brock and I at this point were unsaved in percussion. We met each other. We weren't going to be really close friends until about sophomore year of high school. Freshman year of high school rolls in. I just moved in last year. I kind of have a friend group. It's complicated. I'm bullied. It's bad. But instead of being fat, I get my braces off. I don't wear glasses anymore because I find out that it's complicated, but glasses won't do anything for me. I actually allow my hair to grow, and I grow like to 5'8", and so I lose all my weight is then evened out.
Before we move past this, because
Yeah.
you mentioned hair,
Yeah.
can we show everyone the nice flow you got going? I know you're wearing a hat.
Yeah, it's gonna be hat hair. It's crazy.
Okay, well, at least like turn to the side so people can see the flow out the
Yeah.
back. They can get the vibes.
The hair's grown.
Dude, it looks great.
Thank you. I grew up in every male in my family was a military except for me. I'm the disappointment. We'll get there, but everyone's got like the nice cut, and I don't now because I'm a hippie. But anyway, yeah. Where was I? I totally forgot.
Freshman year.
Oh, the glow up. Yes, the
Yeah,
glow
glow
up.
up.
My jawline came in. It was great. People came back from the summer and they're like, "What happened to you?" And I was like, "I'm better. I'm stronger." And it was good. I joined marching band, so I had an outside activity for the first time ever. I touched grass.
Yeah, no, I didn't do that until college.
It was
I'm
good.
kidding. Okay, I didn't. But anyway.
I was really challenged physically, and that was good for me because I desperately needed it by that point. And at this point, here's the big one. I meet Jared, Austin, Brian. So Jared had formed a friend group, about 6 of us. 5 of us were not saved or were super immature in our faith at that point. And by the end of high school, all 6 of us would be saved.
Let's go.
Yeah, he put together the Avengers, and then eventually all of us would be saved.
So we put together the Avengers before they were the Avengers.
Yeah, it's kind of like a premature Avengers thing. It's really interesting.
You just prophesied the
Like, in a way, yeah,
Yeah.
Nick Fury if he had both eyes, I guess. But there was also a main group that kind of formed out of that 6. It was Brock, me, and Jared. Because Jared would eventually join Drumline, and it was interesting. So sophomore year is when Jared and I get like super close. At this point, I'm still atheist, agnostic, super like egotistical. I had kind of like these misconceptions about Christians where it's like they're just judgmental jerks.
Amen to that.
And
Been there.
I'm not fully wrong. A lot of our community can turn into that very quickly, right? And that just comes from a false sense of like pride in a grace that we don't deserve. And we're all victim to that, but my thought process on everyone being like that was wrong. And so I met Jared, and I didn't know he was a Christian until like way into it. And I was like, well, I had this misconception. Maybe Jared's an exception. Jared's family's really cool. Fun fact, Jared is a PK. He's a pastor's kid and a youth pastor's kid at this point. Now his dad is a head pastor at a different church. But after literally years of this guy inviting me to youth group, I was finally like, okay, I'll go, right? You're chill. Why not? So sophomore year, I start going, and I'm met with a community that I never, ever, like, would understand or, like, just have never experienced. I was met with what was, like, actual love. Whereas, like, my growing up was really confusing and, like, I don't understand a lot of things that my parents did, right? And it was really crazy. I would come into a community that truly showed love. So I just kept going. I was really intrigued. I didn't really get the whole Jesus thing up until finally we're about to get charismatic.
Let's go.
Yeah. I had a sermon that his dad, Pastor Jesse, went through. Shout out, Pastor Jesse. You're a huge part of my faith. Would preach that was just basically bar for bar Mason's life up to that point and stuff that I hadn't told Jared. So I was like, how does he know?
How does he know?
Spoiler, it was the Holy Spirit. But
Dude, I don't know. Like, there's so many people. Jacob has this very similar thing
yeah,
of like somebody like he got called out for something that he's like, how does he know?
the
Nobody
conviction, right?
knows.
And Pastor Jesse and I lock eyes for what felt like hours, but it was only a couple seconds. And what I looked at was not the eyes of a man. I looked into it and saw so much more, something vast and just like powerful. Well, in the moment, I had no freaking clue what I was looking at, but now I know it was the Holy Spirit, and I had locked eyes with God, and went home and cried about it a lot because my whole atheist, agnostic brain had just exploded. The world that I had built for myself had crumbled. It was interesting.
Was it a thing where you're realizing that it was more than just logical, everything makes sense, number, like everything happens for a reason, it's just atoms hitting atoms type of thing?
It was... My logic was more so the smart side of if God good, why bad?
Yeah.
Like, why is there bad things happening if God is good? My logic was more so behind like that, and it's not just saying that statement and then walking away from the conversation. It was like, if there are bad things, then why should we consider God good? Because wouldn't he do something? He has the power to do something. If I were in the shoes, if I'm looking at an ant colony burning, I would put water on it. And like really kind of delving into that, which now today I'm far more educated on. But walking into that, I was like, well, I just had someone bar for bar talk about my life, and it didn't feel like a coincidence, and I just saw something much greater behind those eyes, so I really got to consider this now. Didn't give my life to Christ in that moment, which, oof. But I would later do so. Okay, so there's this really big debate on whether or not you give your life to Christ in a singular moment or it can happen over a course of time. I think, honestly, I had a moment, but it was because of a few key events that happened over time, and so it kind of disguised itself within that.
I think it can be both at the same time.
Yeah.
Like, I would say me coming to Christ was a time. It was a few weeks. But there was a moment that led to all of that happening. Like I told you earlier.
Yeah.
With, like, that chaotic day that happened that led to me taking my faith, like, starting to be like, okay, let me really look into this Jesus thing because everyone else seems to... That seems to work for them. And so it can be both. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know anyone where it's like, I do know people, but it's one of those things where you don't always find people who just is like, this was the day I was completely against God.
April 14th, 2019.
I completely was against God. And like, I know like May 9th, 2024 was the day that all that happened, but it's not like something where it's like, I was a complete atheist. I heard one sermon and then I turned around and this day I was like, Jesus is Lord, all of these things. I'm like, Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like most of the time, it's a season that's caused by a day. It might be a day where it was the most that you remember, or like a day that just like started all of it. Like for me,
Yeah.
But usually it's a season.
This debate eventually would arouse like some concerns about like assurance of salvation, which then leads to like the fruits conversation and help me with my I am saved. I hope. I'm just kidding. But I started having these questions. I more so was curious, right, and what's going on about this Jesus guy. I would eventually join a Bible study that would happen at 6 a.m. on Thursdays at Chick-fil-A.
Nice. The
Yeah.
Lord's Chicken.
The Lord's Chicken, opening day, an opening hour, right? And all the boys would meet there, and eventually it would be me, Brock, and Jared, who were some of the main guys. That's kind of where the big trio was formed. Not only were we on Drumline together at this point, but we would also do this together. And the first books of the Bible I ever read through were 1st and 2nd Samuel.
Interesting. I'll put that as better than Jacob for first books read.
Really? What did he read first?
Job.
Oh, that's a toughie. Oof.
Yeah, but that's an interesting one.
Yeah.
I started with John.
John? Gospel is really good.
Yeah,
But
I was
I-
like, who is this Jesus guy? I need to get to know him.
For me, it was really good to read about the guy that came before Jesus, right? Who wasn't the Messiah, but was definitely a prophesied king. And David, you know,
And the guy who's the man after God's own heart and yet fell.
and the folly, you know,
Yeah.
the folly of him. And eventually my first ever sermon would be about him, right?
Let's go. Banger sermon, by the way. Just
Thank
want to
you.
say on the podcast, that was such a good sermon.
I appreciate that. But I would go ups and downs with the 1st, 2nd Samuel. I'd be like, this guy's so cool. This guy's not so cool. This guy's so wow. You know, like back and forth.
The life of David.
Yeah, the life of David, like, and like kind of pairing that with the Psalms of David too. It's like you get 1st and 2nd Samuel, where it's like this is what David did. This is what happened to David. Saul continued to miss with his spear, and then Psalms you would get like the God, please help me, the internal turmoil of David, and it's like, whoa, there's a lot to this guy. I see so much of me in him, but he's not perfect. I want to aspire to be like him in some ways, but not others. And then it ended up that we would both take the knee at the same altar, you know, and like Jesus is king. Reading the first gospel I ever read would be Matthew, and which fits my personality perfectly because it's like the super analytical every single bit, you know. I'm like, oh wow, this is so cool. And then yeah,
That's so interesting to me
really.
because I'm majoring in engineering and doing more of that technical, logical side, and yet I like hone towards John every single time because
Yeah.
I don't enjoy as much as the straight, like everything. Here's why this, and I just don't love that. I love how John puts it.
I really
just me.
like scripture that's hard to understand because I see it as a little bit of like a puzzle. Because I'm like, okay, but what does that mean? What in the biblical jargon am I looking at here? Because like I want to know, and so that's kind of where I kind of took Matthew. I was like, what is the Sermon on the Mount? What is he talking about? An eye for an eye? Like what is that? And like all my questions would eventually lead to I need to give my life to Christ, and so I did. And I didn't get really serious about my faith until the summer between junior and senior year, where we'd go on a hiking trip, what's called Trail Magic. Essentially, like a youth group will go out there on the Appalachian Trail and like set up shop and like hand out supplies, that kind of thing, and spread the gospel to hikers. Because oftentimes, if you're hiking alone, you're depressed and you're trying to find something. And well, Jesus, you know.
In most places, people don't want to see teenage boys, especially like high school boys.
We're everywhere.
But like, I guess maybe they might be willing to see you if that's the first person they've seen in the last 48 hours.
yeah. I mean, people start going crazy out there and stuff. And they put me in front because it was my first time hiking, and so they needed someone that they thought would be like kind of slower. I ended up a quarter mile ahead of everyone. I am a mountain goat.
Nice.
Yes,
Let's go.
I get going up there, which is not safe. Don't do that. If you die, they don't know. But I had a lot of personal time with God, and I wrestled with a lot of things, and I went up that mountain one guy and came off a completely different one. This would eventually lead to a lot of turmoil between me and my parents. which is a whole other chapter.
We're
So
just getting started, everyone.
yeah, buckle up. Here we go. You know how I mentioned that mom and dad were not believers? Well, still true at this moment in the story. And in fact, still true to this moment in this podcast. I started changing. The Holy Spirit's going to change you, right? And we've all experienced it. If you're a believer watching this, you're like, yeah, BC me to now, completely different people. Well, that was happening. And they weren't fans because they had grown me up. They had raised me to be a little clone of them. I have been the black sheep of my family for a long time. They were sport people. They sucked at school. I was a straight A student who did marching band. I was a nerd. I played D&D in high school.
And still do.
And still
I
do.
need to find a way to get an invite to one of those nights, bro.
Your discipler's the one. Like
I know. He's like, oh, Peter, am I going to see you there? And I'm like,
hello.
I play board games, dude. Like, invite me. We'll have, just like how he's been telling me all day, we'll have to have a conversation on Monday.
Yeah.
I will have to have a conversation.
I'll have to come. Yeah. So, my parents would ask me like, "Oh, you're gonna go hang out with your friends? What are you gonna go do?" And I'd be like, "Oh, Uno, youth group stuff." They're
Are
like,
you going to go play a sport with your friends in a field? And it's like, no, we're going to go play a board game. Maybe some
Yeah.
D&D after.
We'll see, play pretend poker or whatever we would do. And they thought I was really lame. They were not wanting me to say it, but kind of wanted me to be like, yeah, I'm going to go to a party or whatever, right? Because they wanted me to be more so like them in their younger years, right? They were the cool kids when they were younger, and I was not. There would be a few key moments my senior year where I would be considered cool. If you're not watching, heavy air quotes on that, but it never was like I'm a cool kid. So I started changing, right, because of the Holy Spirit, and they didn't like that. I was like, I want to get baptized because that's the next step, profession of faith. Show the world that I've made that choice. They said no. Because my mom said that would be disrespectful because you were baptized Episcopalian as a baby. And I explained what baptism is to her and how, like, that's a profession of faith. How can a baby profess faith? Theological debate. We're not going to go down that rabbit hole, but that's what I believe. And she was like, that's just straight up disrespectful. And I said, well, Mom, this is what I want to do. This is me. And she said, no. Yeah.
Dude, this has been a struggle of mine recently.
Really?
Because I was baptized in 7th grade. But I tell you now, I was not saved until after my senior year of high school.
So what do your parents say about that?
I'm talking with them this week when I see them.
Oh, boy.
And my dad baptized me.
Ooh, boy. Oh, I was going to hit some heartstrings.
Yeah, things are already not. I'll get into that later, but things are already not great there, so I'm not looking forward to the conversation.
Yeah.
But the Lord's been putting it on my heart, so we're going to follow him either way.
My parents were also drinkers, and so when I was first got my permit, I started becoming their designated driver. We would go out to like a Longhorn or something so they could take the family in, right? And they would just keep going. And me and my sister were there. She's about 9 years old at this point. It's just not the environment you should put a 9-year-old in. But they just keep going. And they're emotional drunks. They're not angry drunks, they're just emotional. And so any emotional feelings that they had would then come up. And they were always directed towards me. Mason, we know that you think we're failures. Mason, we know you don't like that we drink. Mason, we think that you're trash. And you are not what we want you to be. And all these different things. And I just had to take it. I was their punching bag. You still have to drive your mom and dad home after that. So a lot of emotional beatings, and then they would kind of deny it the next day. If they would got drunk at home, there was 2 instances where my mom hit my dad. And my dad is a very wise individual in that he's in the Navy. Of course, he's going to be able to know how to drink. And he would step away, he'd go on a walk, right? So they are still together, thankfully. But I haven't yet even told them that I knew about that. It's hard when you live in a camper for a year and it's like literally like an inch thick walls. Like, of course I heard that. What do you mean?
Yeah.
But
Much respect to your dad for deciding to take the walk. Because, again, like you said with the drinking thing about being in the Navy,
yeah,
he's in the Navy.
he's got some tolerance, right?
He's got some tolerance, and he's also got some.
Yeah.
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 So praise the Lord.
Yeah, and that thankfully went as well as you'd want, I guess, for that. But it's just throughout the rest of high school, it was all this just big struggle of like this schism in the household just because of my faith. I started off a little sanctimonious with my faith, as some people do, right? We're happy about it. I'm going to heaven. This is awesome. And that's not a bad feeling to have, but you start shoving it on others. It's just not, it's just poor practice. So I was a little sanctimonious with my parents, and therefore in like my gospel presentations. And so they just didn't get it. They actually kind of despised it. I told them I didn't want to go into the military as they had predestined for me. Funny Christian joke, predestination. Anyway, they did not like that decision either, because I was big debate. I really just wanted to be there for my family more. Not to say that there aren't military jobs where you can't be there. I just didn't see that for my family. And I was like, want to go to college, maybe try engineering. We'll see. Well,
Let's go.
engineering ended up just being whatever my parents wanted me to do, because they were like, you need to be successful, you need to make money, blah, 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 blah. And true. Which isn't false. Engineering is great and we need them. But it's not necessarily what I was leaning towards, but I was okay with it. I'm good at math.
What major? In me?
Yeah.
Mechanical?
Mechanical engineering.
Fun.
And I was doing pretty baller at it too. I walked out of physics with a B, right? Like,
Sick. I'm in physics right now.
I'm so sorry. Who do you have?
You wouldn't have had him.
Okay.
He's new. This is his second semester.
I had Yao Yao.
Nice.
Yeah.
No, this guy's great. I have an A in the class.
Sick.
I took AP Physics in high school.
You
so
already
it's
know.
that, but just with calculus instead of algebra.
Oof. Dang.
I took Calc 3 this semester. Withdrew from that.
Wow, really?
Yeah, I had Jeff Berman.
I don't know who that is.
Dude, he's horrible.
I never took Calc 3. I got to Calc 2. So
He has a 2 on Rate My Prof. He worked at Lockheed Martin for 30-something years doing missile tracking systems. Retired with so much money that he doesn't need to work another day in his life, and decided he wanted to go to a school and make people drop out,
what?
withdraw from classes. So you know Grayson Clark?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was with the class with me. Him withdrew it from it, and 70-something% of our class is withdrawn from that class by now.
Oof, that's
It's
terrible.
like 6 left in the class.
I am a school nutcase. I'm an animal. I don't really know why, but God gave me this gift. I didn't get a single B throughout all high school. I was just straight A completely, even middle school. Got to college, and it didn't really slow down there. I got into Calc and Calc 2. Calc 1, I was a good student and went to all my classes, got an A. Calc 2, by this point, I had taken chemistry, and my chemistry professor was terrible, and I realized the power of not going to class. And I got an A in that, too. So Calc 2, everyone was, like, stressing. They're like, it's Calc 2, run for the hills. And I just was not challenged like I thought I would have been. And so I stopped going to class, and I walked out of that with an A, too. I literally cannot explain it, but math was, like, my thing. But I felt zero fulfillment from it, but we'll get there. Anyway, high school. Wanted to go to college. They didn't support that, like, at all. But they were like, whatever.
Better than you doing nothing.
Yeah. I get up here. My girlfriend at the time was going to UGA. So, like, 2 hours away. Not the biggest deal. Literally, I get up here. I get in my apartment. It's set my stuff down. I get a side hug, and then they go. Yeah, mom and dad.
Oh, and you're like me. They're gone.
It's 5.5 hours away.
Yeah, it's a 4.5, 5 hours with traffic drive for me, too.
Oof, it's terrible. Well, now they're in New Hampshire, but
Oh, wow.
my dad got out of the military and immediately went into civilian contracting. So he does the exact same job that he did in the military, not driving. They have 2 jobs when you're in a submarine. The second job for him was just maintenance and repair. He does that, but as a project manager for that up in New Hampshire, making like big money. So the one time that we're super well off, I'm out of the house.
Civilians make big
Bang.
money. Bro.
That's definitely the move if you're ever in the military and you get out. But I start getting way stronger in my faith because of crew. I get into crew because of day one of college. I walk
go,
out of
Crew.
my calc class on the phone with my mom talking about it, and I see my boy Andrew Schneider. I didn't know his name at the time, but he was across the way, and he like super far, but I'm on the phone. He like starts shaking his hand like crazy, like trying to get my attention from super far away. And he points at me and he yells like, hold on. Campus ministry? And like, I'm like, heck yeah. Mom, hold on. I hang up on her. And I go over to him and he's like, crew, check it out. The infamous green paper was mine.
The green paper.
The green paper.
Got so many of us in crew.
My freshman year, they did a Frive on the first Monday of school.
Bro, what?
Yes, we're never doing that again apparently because that was so crazy hard. Because everyone still has their first day of classes and everything, so all of servant team is like booked. But anyway, I eventually get there, and I meet. It's no secret, I'm kind of a crazy guy. I meet Matt Hammer. Shout out Matt. He starts talking to me. He can't handle my energy, so he passes me on to another shout out, Dylan Black. Love him. He can't handle me either. And so he passed me on to Tyler Rutland, who would eventually be my 2 years worth of discipler.
Dude, that's so crazy because you're just naming people that I know now that I'm like, oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, so Tyler's my dad, and he can kind of handle me. So then I joined his small group and all that. On the parent side of things are crashing. It is not good. I had very few conversations with my parents. It was very poor. It was just not going well. We fast forward through a lot of different jobs and into December, where I go home because they're still in Camden at this point. I go home. I'm doing DoorDash at this point, so I'm still able to work at home. It was great. I had gone up to college with my dad's truck. I had some beat up Jeep Patriot, but it was paid off, hunk of junk, but it would have got me through college. And he was like, we want you to go up to college with a safer vehicle. And I was like, oh, cool. And he was like, take my truck. And I'm like, okay, do you want me to take up payments? He was like, no, we got it. Don't worry. I'm like, okay, car insurance. He's like, nope, we got it. I'm like, cool beans. This is a great free car, right? Yeah. He's like, you're just paying for gas. It was a great truck. I get back in December and he's like, hey. So for context on this bit, my grandma on my dad's side passed away. And with that came a trust fund. He's like, hey, that trust fund that you got? Yeah, you're going to either buy a new car or pay off the truck because we want better credit for when we move to New Hampshire. I got boxed in. I got boxed into using my money to pay for their car or whatever for credit reasons. So, oof. Was not happy about that. Got a new car.
Is this the 20 grand you were referencing?
No.
Oh, this isn't the 20 grand. Okay.
Yes, there's more. So many things happen. Eventually get back up here. Things are going. I then lose my DoorDash job. Uh-oh. Someone hacked in my account. Luckily, I'm Batman. It was at 1 a.m., so I was up. Called the IT people. They were like, cool, we'll shut it down. We'll fix it. They fixed it. I said, hey, you can boot it back up now. And they said, no, you're fired. I was DoorDasher of the month 3 months in a row. I'll never understand it. But so I was in a crisis for a job. This is where the ministry side of things comes in. Within the span of a week, crew asked me to be on their servant team. Jared talks to me about joining ministry long term.
Freshman year?
Yeah.
Freshman year servant team. Let's go.
Well, I wasn't on it yet. They said for next year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, I got dragged in, bro. I got dragged in.
The Marietta need.
Yes, sir.
And then eventually, someone would come up to me and be like, hey, there's an internship at First Baptist Church Woodstock. And so all within the same week, like 4 different instances of being like, hey, you should do this ministry. And so the thought process I had at the time was, I'm not worthy of ministry, became, I should probably talk to God about this.
Bro, the I'm not worthy of ministry is so real, dude.
I had not necessarily misconceptions. Well, yeah, misconceptions, but like also I looked at myself and I was like, there's no way, right? There's no way. Because like, I'm trash, right? And then eventually now I realize like everyone's trash, and so it's fine. But God equips the called. He doesn't call the equipped.
Amen.
So he's now equipping me. But that was that little tidbit there. I'm going like super fast through this, so he doesn't have to cut out as much. And then there's, where was I?
We don't cut anything in this podcast.
Oh, then we're about to slow it way down. Just you wait. Rest of the school year kind of goes by. It's pretty smooth from there. Parent side of things is not great. We get to summer. I go down and work at the camp that I will eventually work. The church that I would eventually work for. It's in Panama City Beach that we host the camp. It was cool. You have a question?
Why does it? No, we go to Daytona. Never mind. No. Where do we go?
You go somewhere.
Passion City. I think it's Daytona.
Yeah, y'all go to Daytona.
Okay. I was
Yeah.
gonna say, why does
Woodstock went to Daytona for a couple years too.
I'm just like, that's just so many people over there.
A couple years being like a decade ago. But anyway,
I've never been. Nobody shamed me. I've never been.
whilst in PCB, my phone bill gets canceled, my car insurance gets canceled. Those were the two things my parents were paying for. I am 7 hours away from home. I have to have communication. I'm in charge of 8 middle school boys. We have a leadership group chat. I need to have access to that, and now I don't. It's illegal to drive anywhere, but primarily Georgia, without car insurance. I am stranded. What the Sigma, right? I blow up at my parents. I'm like, you know where I am when you did this. And they're like, yeah, we do. No remorse, right? So we get to the end of this camp. Ironically, at the same time, that weekend, it goes like the full like work week. And then that weekend, Jared's brother, Nathan, was getting married, and I was invited to that. So I just drove right over illegally and did that wedding. Ironically, this would also be the point where Jared baptizes me in the Gulf of Mexico.
You mean the Gulf of America?
The Gulf of America, God bless America. Capitalism, yeah. Anyway, yeah, so really cool Polaroid of that. But this was also the same week where Joseph would get saved in Puerto Rico. Fun fact, intertwined forever. Hashtag my son. I want that to be a thing. Hashtag my son.
Wait, like Jorp?
Yeah.
That's sick. So the same week?
The same week that I got baptized, Joseph got saved.
Bro, I love that.
Yeah.
We love Jorp.
And
You
we
just
hadn't
said
even
Joseph.
known.
I was confused.
Oh, yes. Jorp. Yes.
Yeah.
And I have a friend. I had Brock drive up here with me. That way, if I, for whatever reason, got pulled over, there would be some sort of explanation. And he spends like a couple weeks with me up here during summer crew for me to do this big operation where I sell my brand spanking new 2023 Jeep Renegade to then afford a cheaper car with cheaper insurance, and then pocket the rest. Because why would I not do that? That just sounds like the smartest financial decision I could make. And that would eventually birth the battle bus. But anyway, before that, I sell the car, and it's really good. And then I sell it like July 2nd, and the money enters my account at like 8 a.m. on July 4th. And at like 8:05 on July 4th, $25,500 leaves my account.
Bro, what?
My dad. Yeah. Yeah. And then I call Jacob Barron, and he's like, oh, you want some protein pancakes? And I go over and have pancakes at his place.
I love Jacob. Also, is that not illegal? Technically, because they're your parents' account? Like, was it a parent account?
Yeah, it's not. They have access to my bank account.
That sucks.
I could make a case in court. Same time, no. But, I was very mad. Very mad. The conversations I had with them were very stern in that moment. It definitely showed a little bit of righteous anger and a whole lot of I'm ready to be on my own anger. And I told them, I was like, listen, that enters my account within the day, or you're getting sued, and I'm coming for everything, right? And one phone call, and Molly's out of there. It was really bad threats that you just shouldn't make, but I was really mad. I was like, they were like, what gives you the right? This is your grandma's money that was in your trust fund. And I'm like, yes, the money that she left aside for me that has a whole contract behind it that I'm sure if you took one gander at, you have no right to touch. I actually asked for pictures of the contract, and my mom literally told me, "Come and get it." That's not how legal things work. But anyway, it was just a horrible conversation. About half the trust fund was used on that original car back in December to buy, so there's still like a good chunk of it left. My dad then started bargaining with me. He's like, "Well, if you want this money back, we'll give it to you, but you give me the rest of your trust fund," like that kind of stuff. Like starting to bargain with me.
All money that should be yours.
Yes, 100%. It's the Lord's, but I'm trying my best to use it well.
That the Lord has blessed you to
Yeah.
manage.
Really horrible stuff. And my mom eventually chimed in and was like, "Fine, you can have all your money back. The trust fund won't be touched. You just don't love us."
Not this card, bro.
Yeah. And I was like, "Mom, I have always loved you and I will continue to love you, even in stuff like this." And she was like, "Nah, I don't believe that." And it was terrible. But I got my money back. Happy 4th of July. America, yeah. Fast forward to Easter. Because that happened. When is Easter?
Dude, it depends.
I can't remember when Easter is.
Bro, it changes every year.
It changed. When is Easter? When was Easter last year?
I don't know, bro.
That's either before or after this. Easter happens, and the day before Easter, my mom denounces Christ. We're on the phone having a really poor argument. I'm in tears, and she says, "I don't like the man that God is making my son into, and therefore I want nothing to do with God." Crazy stuff to come out of a mom to her own son. Big faith struggle too, because I want my mom. I want my dad. But ultimately, they won't get me to heaven. And I've made my choice.
And I promise you, all of us are proud and thankful for that choice. Jorp is extremely thankful for that choice.
My son.
I know. And it's just, dude, I've battled with a little bit of that and a little bit of problems with my parents regarding me going into ministry. But, dude, I can't imagine what you've gone through. And we're all, like, genuinely also proud. And even better than that, God is so proud.
I appreciate that. So fun fact, when the Mormons come up to your door and they're like, "Have you learned about our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ?" They do a census with that. They will ask you questions with your permission and, like, get your information. And they will put it in a big database, and it's on a website. I can't remember the name of the website. But over Thanksgiving, I had Thanksgiving with Jared's parents, naturally, because my family sucks. And we discovered this, right? And so I started going down my own rabbit hole because they're talking. They have their own family tree in there. And I'm like, I wonder what about mine? And they put in there, like, any faith that your family professed, like specifically down to the denomination, too. For 8 generations back that the Mormons have, dating back to Deutschland. Not even Germany, Deutschland, right? They're like, not a single Christian, bro. What? I'm like, I thought I was just alone in this bubble of my family, like these past 3 generations or whatever, maybe. Nah, pretty much all of it. And I'm like, praise God for, like, the insurmountable mountain just being moved, right? That the Walter family is.
Breaking generationals.
Just the curse, right?
Yep.
But then why me? It's just such a question, right? Statistically, I've done these numbers, trust me. If a dad in a family comes to Christ, like in a family of non-believers, 95% of those families will come to Christ with him because leader of the household, right? These statistics very well show the design of the family.
Yeah.
If a mom does, it's anywhere from 60 to 80%, right? Just give or take. And if one of the kids does, it is a whopping 3% of those families will come to Christ. And it's like, why? What an interesting thing,
I think also, but here's my thought about it. Think about your kids.
I know the long term effect that this will have. I am now
You'll start generations of Christians.
at this very present moment. I am the patriarch of a long family of believers. In theory, if Jesus doesn't come back for the next couple hundred years, right? I'd like for him to come back like right now. Please. But in theory, if he doesn't come back in several lifetimes, I am the patriarch of a massive believing family, hopefully, and it's like, this is starting something new, but why not before?
Yeah, you wish it could go back up as well.
Like right now it's not looking good. My dad has cancer. My mom had her gallbladder removed. They're falling apart, right? My sister doesn't know the Lord. I hope she started asking questions one day. I was not a very good big brother in those early years because we have a 9-year age gap between the two of us, and it's a gender gap too.
So what? She's how old?
She's 11.
Here's the most exciting thing that I can tell you. Think about how many people around you at college came to Christ in late high school and or college from places. I mean, we talk about him all the time. Jacob Barron.
Yeah.
Look at that man. Like, your sister has a good chance, especially if she has a godly, like, sibling in her life.
I really think in time she'll probably ask questions like, why did Mason drop off the face of the world?
Why have we shut him out?
Yeah, and because she's going to hit that age where she's just going to want someone else's opinion other than my parents, especially up in the middle of nowhere where there's nobody, New Hampshire, right? And they're going to have to answer.
Yeah. And praying that she reaches out to you.
Yeah.
That you can be a light to her, for sure.
Yeah. So that is kind of where the family side of things are. Eventually would find crew through Andrew Snyder, right? I would eventually change my major, and now I'm applying online to a different college. Not moving, just online transfer.
What college?
True at McConnell right now.
Okay.
They've accepted me. I just have been lazy and not done the things. I have like all summer, but because they have a student ministry undergrad.
Not all of us have all summer. We'll get to that after the podcast, or at the end of the podcast.
Oof. And I'm currently doing an internship with Woodstock, and it's looking like right now they're pretty stern about interns being 1 year, and it's looking like I will be moving to a different church for another year, of internships, and it's just like I have started a very long journey of me being in ministry when I thought I was the least likely. But yeah.
Dude, that's great. No, I get the feeling like you shouldn't be the one in ministry.
Yeah.
I still don't feel like I should be the one in ministry. It's actually an interesting thing because there's yeses and there's nos. I didn't know that there was nos because I got a yes. I prayed about it and God answered yes through a crazy thing. I had a crazy vision. It was a whole thing.
Charismatic, heck yeah. Here we go.
Well, so it's even crazier than that because like I like saw myself in ministry, like in an image, right? So I have a thing called aphantasia, where I cannot picture things.
You can't picture things?
I can't picture things. I can close my eyes. There's nothing there. I can't picture things. There's nothing. It's just black.
What? Do you dream?
I do dream.
What?
It's just in like when you're awake and close your eyes, like to picture something.
I've never heard of this before.
I can't do it. I always thought that picture this was a joke. Because
you thought it was a bit.
I thought it was a bit because I'm like, what do you mean picture this? Humans don't have that ability. Found that's not true.
We literally do.
It's like 10 to 20% of the U.S. population has it. It's a genetic thing. Wow, I got it from my dad.
Pretty significant. Dang.
But so with that, it was crazy because like I have an image in my head. I can see it with my eyes closed.
Yeah.
And I've never been able to do that in my entire life. Crazy God thing. But then I found out like Jacob Barron prayed about going into ministry. God answered no to that. Mm-hmm. My ex, Lauren, prayed about going to ministry. We talked about it multiple times last semester. The answer was no. My mom prayed about going into ministry. The answer was no. My grandfather prayed about going into ministry. The answer was no. And here I am. God said, yeah, I want that one. Let's let that one do it. And I'm like, bro, why me over all these other people?
It was really interesting. I'm like, I fought God on that for a little bit. I was like, no. And he was like, shut your mouth. Like I have a purpose for you. And it's super interesting because it's like, you know, every day I wake up and I'm like, I just want to be used, right? Like, I don't want to wake up one morning and feel like I'm done, or like I cannot do anymore. I want to wake up every morning for the rest of my life and be like, there's more I can do, which I'm confident that is going to happen. But ministry was just such just such a write-off thing for me for such a long time. Just for it to start with again, Jared Bryan being like in the middle of a phone call talking about, I think like a comic or something, like a show, and him being like, hey, have you thought about like long-term ministry? And I look like, no, you stupid face. Why would I do that?
Dude, I had such a similar thing.
Yeah.
I was like thinking about it. I love production. I've been doing it for years. And then staff started mentioning like, hey, you just think about going into ministry. You have a gifting in this. And then all of a sudden, volunteers I was working with were like, have you thought about ministry? Like,
yeah,
you have a gifting in this. And then like I look back, I'm like, oh my, and like God put in my heart like this feeling this entire time of like the job that I'm currently doing, because I was working in an aerospace place. I was planning to get an aerospace engineering degree and just work in the space or airplane industry.
Yeah.
And God put this thing in my heart of like, what are you really helping with this? Like, who in the world is being helped by you building private jets for billionaires? Literally nobody. So it's like, and then like God like put that in my heart, and then everything came together where it was just this moment. I was like, oh, this is why everything has been going this direction.
I had a realization that like, okay, so first off, a little bit about me. The social butterfly that you were looking at was not that until like junior year when I got saved.
That's so fun. I used to be like never talk to people.
Really,
then here we are.
Biggest introvert on the planet. I hated people. I just did not want to talk to them. And in junior year, I like got saved, and like God like changed me and was like, "You're going to never shut up now."
But we love that about you.
Yay! I appreciate that, but this would eventually become like a huge skill set, and like what would drive the confidence into ministry. And like also I chose student ministry because one, that's what the internship was, and two, because I wanted to give students the opportunities that I never really had.
Dude, that's so fair.
In middle school, had no idea who Jesus was, right? And so I'm like, well, middle schoolers definitely need to hear about this. So there you go. Not to discount high school ministry. Student pastors end up doing both most of the time, just because of church sizes and whatnot. Mine just happens to be that they're split. But yeah, so big convictions there. One day I would also like to do college, but
yeah,
that's its own field.
I can see myself doing stuff with young adults.
Oh yeah,
because I love and students. I love that age. It's so much fun. I do students right now. Yeah. And like especially the production kids, because we have some kids that come in doing production that are students, and dude, I love those kids. I'm training one on Sunday. Dude, I can't stop talking about it because I'm just so because I see a little mini me.
Yeah,
like I see a kid who like is going out of his way to learn this stuff, and I'm like, dude, like this is a mini me, and I'm so excited. And I started a year ago.
Yeah.
And I've gotten to this spot. Imagine where this kid is. He's an 8th grader.
Dude.
Like, imagine where he's going to get if I've gotten here in a year.
I'm waiting for one day. I don't expect it within the next couple of years, but I'm waiting for one day when a kid comes up to me and, like, starts talking to me and just has all the exact same issues that I did.
It's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
Dude,
and they're like, I'm a first-generation Christian. I don't know what I'm doing. And I'm like, well, luckily I went through all that crap, so you don't have to.
Yeah.
You know? Which is just the gospel, you know?
Yeah. And with that, I'll say, like, if anyone listening to this relates in any special way, like feel free to reach out.
470-650-6462. That's my number. Like,
okay, I didn't expect that. I was gonna say reach out to me on the
100%.
Instagram, on our Instagram, and I'll connect you with him.
No, just and tell me who you are and like how you got my number, because I will not remember that I did this. It is just midnight.
4 years from now, you just somebody texts you out of the blue. I heard you on this podcast episode.
Oh, geez. Yeah. No, if it is a long time from now, I will be even double confused.
Yeah.
Like, what just happened?
But I think wrapping this up, I announced this on my last episode.
Yeah.
And I'm going to announce it again. And I'm actually probably going to record an actual, like, short-form content reel tomorrow just by myself to announce it.
Rah.
Yeah. So I'm taking a step away from the podcast for a bit.
What?
Kadarius is back.
What a crazy time for him to
Kenny.
come back, wrapping this up.
Kenny, we're wrapping it up.
Say wrapping this up. What do you mean? The
Set-
party's here.
Yeah. Put your stuff down. Go grab the mic.
The
We're
chair
gonna
one
have you
this
for this
time.
last little bit,
Yay. It's literally tomorrow.
dude.
It is
we've-
tomorrow.
Good morning.
So this episode, first of all, it's gonna be 2 hours. which
Good
is-
morning.
Praise the Lord. Welcome.
How
Kenny.
long were these testimonies?
He was another like 50 something minutes.
Wow.
But we're not even up. We're still live. We're recording. We're wrapping things
okay.
up. Welcome back, Kenny.
Don't give me a rundown. I want the
everything,
full story.
Everything good?
Sure. Oh, hey guys.
Give us a short little thing that you can share. What you
Yeah,
can share.
I am an RA now, which is pretty crazy of this building. And this was my first day on call with the emergencies, and I expected nothing. Literally, I've been back up for the last couple weeks, and nothing has happened. The first day I am primary, a homeless person is trying to break into the building. So I had to deal with that for the last hour, and I never interacted with the person. We got cops involved, though, to look for them, and hopefully they're okay. They seem like they were a little on drugs, but we hope that everybody is safe. Everybody is safe. We know that they are. So
Okay.
life is good.
Let's go.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was kind of wrapping up and just talking about the fact that we're taking a break from the podcast,
I'm so sad
which is
about
really
that.
sad.
I mean, summer, right?
I got in
Yes.
before the break. Ayo.
Yeah, it's been fun because I've been having people reaching out and be like, "Hey, I'd love to be on," and I'm like, "Dude, I would love to, but well, let's talk about this in the fall."
Yeah.
But so we have this episode, and I'm planning to do 2 more, which are both. I think I already have the groups or I have ideas for what I want to do, so bangers. But
Banger.
for those who don't know, I got a opportunity to work with a company called CIY, who does church camps, and so I will be spending the summer doing production with them. But that entails flying every week to a different city in the country, and so I will not
That's pretty
have.
sick.
It is sick, and I'm so excited. But I will not
Despite
have.
Lucas's humility, this is
I'm just
a
doing, like,
major
8 camps
achievement,
or whatever.
and we are super proud of him.
But I will not have the space to do the podcast or really the time. So instead of kind of rushing beforehand and trying to record a bunch of episodes and then manage that while I'm on the tour, I'd rather just enjoy the time that I'm there and then just get back the energy and come back full force.
Yeah.
Good
That
plan.
makes sense.
So
That's gonna be
yeah,
sick.
it's gonna be fun. I'm excited. Really sad to leave the podcast behind, but we will be back in August for sure.
We still love you guys.
Yes,
Promise.
and Kenny will be
Much
back
love.
on the first episode back.
No way.
No, I'm kidding. We'll see. Maybe with how often you're here basically
A lot.
every other episode or
Yeah.
every third episode you're
And I
on.
enjoy everyone, so I'm so super
Thank you for
happy
being
about
here.
that.
Thank you, Mason, for being a first-time guest. You will be here again, I'm sure.
Yay!
We love having you.
Maybe
around.
not at midnight.
Maybe dude, we should do a discipleship episode sometime.
Get Dorp.
Get Jorp and then get Jacob.
Oh, geez. The
That'd
amount
be
of
really
wisdom that could
cool.
get dropped in that is
Dude, the amount of
crazy.
wisdom and the amount of random rants that we'll have.
I'm like a different person around Joseph. I'm like
I
discipleship
know,
lock
we
in
know.
mode. Yeah. Oh, Joseph, how have you been obedient to the Lord today?
Oh my gosh, everything just redlined. Anyway,
I'm sorry. Yeah.
well, I think that's it for this episode.
Yeah.
Sorry, Kenny.
So glad I got to experience so much of it. Yay!
Yay. But thank you everyone for watching. Hopefully you made it this far, and we'll see you guys in 2 weeks.
All right.
See ya.
Bye.
I love you all.